Yes. Welcome back to the Dustin Box podcast. I'm Dustin Box, and I just want to say thank you for listening. Oh my goodness, it has been a long break. Man, I've been through it. We had some crazy, an incredible Easter camp. I had knee surgery, just a whole bunch of stuff back to back. But we are back. This show won't let you down. Here we are. And let me just tell you, today's show is going to more than make up for the huge gap that we've had in the releases. So this one today, my guest today is Buddy James. Now, listen, you got to understand, Buddy James is a good friend of mine. He is the creative director here at New Life Church, where I'm also on staff. But, oh my goodness, there is few people that I can see their work, like in terms of creative design work, that can even hold a candle to this guy's portfolio. What he does and what he can do in Photoshop and Illustrator is absolutely incredible. Actually, I feel like it's almost insulting to say Photoshop at this point, because I think he only ever uses it just for like brief stuff, but primarily Illustrator. The guy is a whiz, incredibly creative, just an incredibly amazing heart. He's also our young adults pastor as well as our worship pastor. He has a ton on his plate, and he's amazing. So, listen, before we go on, before we jump into this is our first video live broadcast as well. So, this is the podcast version. This is the intro for the podcast. Maybe you've already caught the live video. If that's the case, or you want to check it out, we're going to upload it to YouTube. But I'm not sure how long they're going to stay live on Facebook. But it was broadcasted live on Facebook. But we'll also upload a video version to YouTube. Now that's my little daughter, baby Adelie. Hey. I don't know if you can hear her, but she's in the background talking. So, oh my goodness. Listen, I've gone on too long. Like, subscribe, follow, listen, rate, comment. We need it. Boost this podcast. Get this information out there. Share it with your friends. And here we go. No more talking. Let's get into this podcast. All right. This is it. This is a video. This is the first attempt at a video format for the Dustin Box podcast, which is awesome because we're drinking coffee. You gonna say something?
It tastes amazing.
Oh, good.
Great job pulling these shots.
This is I'm here with Buddy James, the man with two first names. Really good friend of mine. I'm glad you're here.
I'm glad to be here,
dude. So you just became a dad?
Yes.
Like 2 months ago?
Well,
1 month? Couple weeks?
Monday was a month.
Oh, dang.
Yeah, 1 month. Yeah, it's crazy.
4 weeks.
Yeah, it's wild.
Congratulations.
Thank you,
dude.
I'm not sure. Like, we're kind of like, do we celebrate? We honestly we've been celebrating every Monday because she was born on a Monday. So
that's awesome.
We're like, we might as well celebrate.
She donuts and coffee this morning?
No, not this morning, but Monday we did a little something. So.
Oh yeah, Monday.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's fun.
It's funny. It's like when a couple first starts dating and they have month anniversaries.
Yes.
Or like that drives me crazy.
Yeah,
that gets on my nerves big time.
Yeah. It's like 6 weeks and 4 hours.
Yeah,
we haven't celebrated yet.
I had a youth leader one time cancel a youth group.
Oh gosh,
they are actually scheduled to do stuff like for the night and canceled because they had like a 2-month anniversary or something like that. And it's like, no, this is really important. We've got to. We're going to do something special. It's our 2-month anniversary. And I was like, dude, if your goal is to make it to 2 months, you have issues, man.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Set your sights a little higher.
A little higher. I mean, I guess it would be awesome. You're like 18 years into your marriage and be like, we celebrated every month. I actually know, Walter.
Yeah.
He and his wife actually, they celebrate. I think it's every month they celebrate like the day they got married.
Jeez.
So like, you say they're, today's the 10th. Like, say they got married on the 10th.
Yeah.
They actually celebrate every month on the 10th. It's kind of interesting.
That's cool.
Happily married. And
I know our official dating anniversary, not ours.
Really? Oh, yeah, for sure.
Me and my wife.
Yeah.
No, September 3rd.
Oh, that's great.
And we actually it's interesting. We started like we met. We didn't really meet, but we officially met. Like where it was kind of like sparks were kind of flying.
Right.
And who is this?
Hey,
beautiful woman.
Right.
August 3rd. September 3rd, we
great.
officially started dating.
That's awesome.
And then August 26th the next year.
Are you a calendar guy? Like you go home, or a journal guy where you go home, write down today?
No, dude. I always wanted to be.
Today I met this beautiful girl.
Dear diary.
Dear diary.
Today I met the girl of my dreams.
Dude. some people do that. No,
if you do out there, please. I'm sorry.
My Amy and I, my wife Amy and I, we have a kind of a wild story, but we actually met when we were probably like 14 and 15.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Wait, I got to hear this again because it's been a while.
So we met when we were super young, had emo hair and everything, and it was awesome. But we met at a music festival.
That's
and
awesome.
we were probably
which one?
It's called like Spirit West Coast here in Monterey.
Yeah,
Laguna Seca.
That's a massive music festival. They don't really do anything anymore.
I was going to say, I don't know if they...
I think they went to like a day format.
Right.
And then I don't know what's going on now.
I remember being bummed because some of my friends wanted to go see... I forget who they wanted to see, but I missed out on seeing Mute Math live.
No.
One of my favorite bands.
No.
Yeah, love these guys.
Dude.
Missed it.
What year was that?
I forget.
Dude,
I was probably like 15 or 16.
Because I went to Sacramento and saw them at the Boardwalk when they were touring with Isley. And it was like the typical tour. It's like, is this little tiny venue, 120 people sold out, just packed and sweaty.
Right.
Isley opened for them, that was kind of a little bit of a different feel. But it was awesome.
Yeah.
It was fantastic.
Hey, it worked out because their drummer married one of the girls. Yeah. But so we met when we were probably 14 or 15 or something like that. And then, back in MySpace days, we, stayed in touch. What did you add people you friend them? I forget what it was.
Yeah.
I don't know. But we stayed in touch that way because she lives in LA. She was living in LA at that time. I was in Fresno. And we just stayed in touch. Yeah. Then lost connection because, I stopped going on MySpace. Same with her. Facebook came around, and then we reconnected. She was in Texas for a little bit, and
when you say reconnected,
just
you
like
Facebook stalked her, didn't you? You were like, you were like, wait a second, I have a Facebook.
Yeah,
maybe she has a Facebook.
Yeah, well, it was like,
is she dating anyone?
It didn't say, so I was interested. No, it was like when I don't know how it is for most people, but like I. Was like, oh, I wonder about this person. I wonder if they have. It was like back in the day when you wondered if somebody had a Facebook or not. And so I was like, oh, I wonder if she has a Facebook. I don't even know if she would remember me. So she did, and she had a Facebook, and I messaged her, and I was like, hey, I don't know if you would remember me and everything, but here's a fun fact, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know if she would appreciate me telling you this. Telling everybody this, but she had this like gut feeling like, oh my God, I'm gonna marry him.
What?
Isn't that crazy? Like, but like awesome. she kind of chalked it up to be like one of those just I don't know, emotions that like flare up, and she was like, where did that come from? Like that was weird, like you kind of let your thoughts go there, kind of thing. If she did, and she was like, oh. I don't know what that's about.
That's awesome.
But here we are.
That's great. You have with every time you go to like a Christian camp of some sort, like whether it's like Easter camp or whatever, or like a music festival like that, you actually have the story of like every teenage boy's dream.
Right. Yeah.
I'm going to go there. I'm going to meet some hot girl and she's going to be interested in me. Yeah. And then we're going to become pen pals. And then one day we're going to be, we're going to get married.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and so
it actually worked out.
So I don't remember the exact day. I'm sure we could actually probably find that.
Yeah.
All that to say, like I don't know if we could probably find that exact day.
Yeah,
but like it'd be doable. I think if I did some digging, that would be awesome. Special. But.
Dude, well, congratulations on being a dad.
Thank you.
You had a rough night last night. You were saying
last night, was pretty rough.
Rough.
It was, we were just talking. I was like, I'm pretty sure I'm not going to get any sleep. Amy, my wife and I looked at each other like, yeah, no, nobody's sleeping in this house. Nobody is sleeping.
Yeah, I remember there's points like just in those early like newborn stages, like we were saying this downstairs, but like just the thought, like the realization hits your head, like 3 a.m., 4 a.m. You just realize, like, wait a second, this is not going to happen. Like, this is crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
yeah.
wild.
Stop trying to fight it.
Yeah.
Just be awake. I kept trying to bounce baby, like just, try to take care of her. And then she'd like start to nod off and I put her down and I'll just like lay down. And I'm like, oh yes, I can finally. And then boom, she goes, fussing. And so
it was rough with Tristan, our first. He had like we're having a hard time breastfeeding, just the whole like typical first baby, just struggles or whatever, and just trying to like he wasn't really eating enough, it's kind of thing. So you're like, you're not really sure what's going on. For the first I think 3 months almost, I stayed up. I would come home from work. Dang. And Savannah had was really tired and everything, so I would kind of take over. We'd kind of switch off, and she'd after dinner or whatever, she'd go to bed, and I'd sit on the couch and hold him until 3 a.m.
Yes,
and like he would sleep if I was holding him, but he wouldn't sleep if I laid him down. Like it was
same.
He was like
same.
dozing, and you'd lay.
Yeah.
So I would just prop my arm up with pillows.
Yeah.
I'd put on Netflix.
Yeah. Yes.
And like half sleep, half watch a movie. And 3 a.m. or so, he'd wake back up to eat. We'd trade
That's
off,
brilliant.
and then I'd
I
go
might
to bed.
have to try that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like same, almost exactly. Like I'll get home from a late day of work or something.
Yeah.
And I just want to get home. I want to eat and like just relax and just chill. And we kind of have to be a little more scheduled with baby, especially because feeding and everything like that, and trying to get her to sleep through the night a certain amount of times and hours. And so like I get home and there's kind of a schedule to keep, but I'm like, oh man, but I just feel so good right now just sitting down. I just ate a really late dinner and like, but I'm gonna have to try that. Just hold, because like I'll hold baby and she'll just like be asleep. I'll try to put her down.
Yeah.
No.
It was enough to kind of get us through those first little bits, but then there's a certain point where you realize like we're gonna have to let this baby cry it out and learn how to sleep in a crib, you know. But
right. Yeah. Do you guys? This is me interviewing you now. Do you guys? What is? I forget the method where you that is called where you just let baby cry it out.
That's the method. Let baby cry it out.
It's named something though, isn't it? Isn't it like? I don't know.
Sure.
I don't know.
I think so.
Yeah.
Dang it! Don't ask me questions I don't know.
Viewers, listeners, do the research. Let us know.
Tweet me at Dustinbox.
Yes.
Let me know. No, yeah, but for sure, there's sleep training. I think there's a specific name, and but yeah, just like exhaustion through screaming.
Yeah. How does
Get yourself a noisemaker of some sort, a noise machine or fan.
So with Adley, your fourth baby.
Yes.
Do you like how does that work for
yes.
Aria?
Oh, dude,
because they share a room.
Yeah,
right?
they share a room now. So what we did was when
just like create like a booth for her to like.
No. Well, the baby was first in our room at first for a while, and because it's like feeding every 2-3 hours, typical thing. And then once the nighttime started like expanding, we hit like a zone where it was like 4 or 5 hours, and we needed to like actually kind of go through that couple week process. So we just actually had Aria sleep on the floor in our room. And put Adley in the room by herself and let her cry it out. And she was easier, I think, than the other ones in terms of like that crying out phase. Wasn't as bad. It was only a couple nights, and then she was kind of already kind of flowing in a pretty good rhythm.
Right.
But she was more inconsistent than the other ones. I feel like with Tristan and Cohen and even Aria a little bit, like when they first started sleeping on their own. It was a little bit more work, but like it was more consistent, and then they were sleeping fine. Right. With Adley, it was like we got 4 hours, and then 2 hours, and we got 6 hours, and then we got 3 hours. It was like just back and forth. It's hard. So,
that was rough.
Yeah.
I was just talking to my mom, who I have an older sister, and then I have 2 younger sisters who are twins.
Jeez, I can't even, dude. Like anybody with twins out there, seriously,
salute you. Seriously. And so, just hearing some of her stories and just like, I'm like, man, I'm like, cause, I don't know, probably a year ago, I was like, man, twins that'd be fun, man. That'd be amazing. Like, plus have 2 at a time. Like, good.
Heck yeah.
You know, but no, I'm like, oh God, I'm so glad you only gave us 1.
Yeah. Dude, I felt like that before I started having kids.
Right before you started.
Yeah. Before. Savannah never was, she was always like, twins, there's no way.
Yeah.
And I'm like, maybe. And it's like, dear
Can't
God.
believe it.
Okay, so with baby, just so you know, like maybe you can, maybe you can't. It's okay if you don't want to. I know you've like for you guys, this baby Aurora is like a miracle baby.
Yeah,
a
really
little
is.
bit. You don't have to go into like deep
Yeah.
story or whatever. But can you just share just like a short version of the testimony?
Sure.
Just because like I know there's a lot of people out there that are in that process of fertility, not fertility. Are we gonna have a baby? Are we not gonna have a baby?
Yeah.
Like, do we need a miracle?
Right.
Like there's so many questions and there's so many reasons why that goes on, and everybody's story is unique. But just to share hope, because I remember when you guys were kind of in the middle of that process and journey. It was a couple year, right? A couple year process,
yeah.
Absolutely. Like I remember, this was obviously like longer than a year ago, but about a year and a half ago, I remember. I think it was Tristan that was like, when about E and AB gonna have a baby? Like, I want them to have a baby, and I was like, we should pray for that, And we actually put it on the board, and like every night they'd pray for your little baby.
And when we heard about that, that was like so moving too, because that's incredible. Yeah. So for us, we had decided a couple of years ago, like, okay, now's the time. Let's try to have a baby.
And you guys have been married.
So now we're in our 6th year of marriage, and so it was about 4 years or so in, and so we're like, okay, let's do this. Let's try to have a baby. And so basically not preventing is basically what we're doing.
Yeah.
And time was going by, and we're just like, okay, like, well, we thought we'd have baby by now, like it's only natural, is kind of the thing that we're thinking, and then we're kind of like, okay, well, maybe let's put some intention behind this, and kind of do some more research and everything, and just keep trying. And so the running joke at first was like, hey, like this is a great time, like trying, practicing and everything. And, for the longest time, it just wasn't happening. And so that thing that was kind of funny, like, hey, well, at least we're practicing, it started to become really painful. Like, because again, like that pressure of just like, this is natural. It should be happening,
this is the way God designed us.
And
like
so,
it should work.
So it was really weighing on us both. It's like the whole question is something wrong with me? Is something wrong with you?
Yeah.
Maybe it's not in God's plan, or
totally.
Maybe we're supposed to just adopt. Like those type of things. And
through that process, did you guys like? This is a totally vulnerable question. I'm sorry. It's just we didn't even talk about that. We're going to talk about this. I'm really sorry, but good. Like I'm actually really curious. Like, what did that affect your guys' intimacy kind of through that process? Because when I hear you say this, like I'm picturing myself thinking like okay, what was fun is now just a reminder that it's not working. Like sex was awesome, and then all of a sudden now it just reminds me that. So not just physical intimacy, but just that process of like, did it bring you guys together? Did it become an issue? I mean, was it both? Like, I don't know. Like,
right. Yeah, I think it was at different times. So yes, to answer your question, it did affect, because like something that's supposed to be so special and intimate and beautiful, kind of like, in the back of your head thinking like, man, I really hope this works, and man, like, God, we really want this to happen, like, because you want a specific outcome, you know what I mean? And so, to have a baby and to get pregnant and everything. And so, it was tough, because that was kind of like, it was weighing on us, in a way. And so the pressure and the hope and the desire, and it just wasn't looking good, like, for, months and months, doing that and being really, really intentional. Like, and I'm talking really intentional where, doing some studying and we need to eat this time of day, like
wait, for reals, like
for
foods?
reals, foods
So
like
if we have bacon the night before, there's 6 hours, and then we have strawberries.
You can
and
YouTube
avocados.
this. It's like because I say read up and do research, but I mean YouTube.
Yeah.
Let's be
I think
honest.
I think that's what everybody means at this point.
Yes, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so like we were finding out like, okay, like there are certain things inside of pineapple core, which
What?
you don't usually eat. Is like the part that you actually toss, I think.
Yeah.
Inside the core that you're supposed to, that really, really helps, and
Wow.
so, and then maybe it was like snake oil type of
Totally.
thing, but like,
Well, I mean, we have 4 kids, and I eat pineapple core every day.
hey,
I'm
there
kidding.
you go.
I'm kidding, folks.
But so we're kind of at that place where we're like, we'll try anything that's
Yeah.
legal right now, like, so we're doing, and that's like just one of the things that we're
Yeah.
trying consistently to just boost any chance.
Totally.
Obviously with lots of prayer, Dustin, Savannah, and the kids like praying, and our
Yeah.
family praying, and the weird part was like telling people like like something's not working,
Yeah.
and people kind of saying like, what's the big deal? Like just wait or keep practicing, you guys.
Yeah.
Keep doing it.
Can you get the microphone a little closer to you?
Oh yeah,
I'm sorry.
Keep doing it, because it'll all work out,
Yeah.
and everything like that. But not actually just being able to be like, man, that's hard. Like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Like, and there was really only a handful of people that were like, man, that really sucks. Like, sorry to hear that, and so that for us, it's like, we almost see that as a part of our story now, where it's like, wanting to be people that are, comfort, to people going through a similar thing,
Yeah.
and not comfort in a way of like pat on the back, like it's going to be okay, but like
Totally.
being able to sit down in it with them and like
Yeah.
say like, man, that's tough. I know how it was for us, and and I can imagine how hard it is for you guys, and
Yeah.
but also be able to be a testimony, like, hey, look, like we got through it, and our crying bundle of joy is a testimony. And so like every day, Amy and I are like, man, this is hard, but it is like a crazy big blessing. Like to see the thing we desired most right here in front of us. And it's funny because like, with babies, you're like, I asked for this? Like,
Totally.
like I went
Totally.
out of my way to get this, and
man.
at 2:19 in the morning, that's tough, like
Yeah.
to deal with. But like, I think there's a point again, like for me, I don't know how it is for you, but like whenever I'm mad tired or really, really like hungry and not yet hangry, like
Yeah.
I just get really like tender, like where I'm just like, I don't know what it is like about it. Like, I just get really tender and not like feely, touchy, like tender, but like, just like, man, like, thanks God. Like this is really hard, but like, man, thank you.
Yeah.
For this, and
You should impart that to me.
Yes.
Because I feel like I'm
Yeah.
on a steady ramp
Yeah,
of like
I know what you mean. Yeah.
escalating.
Yeah. Yeah.
The tenderness left,
Yeah.
hours ago.
Long, yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah. And I don't know. It's just, I don't know.
That's awesome.
Maybe I'm like an optimistic type, and maybe to a default, like into, but like, I don't know. I think I somehow will be able to get there almost every time, where, and it's more like, intentional, like a process that I've kind of built into myself, to kind of think like, okay, like if it's not good, it's not over kind of thing, and so you need that in those late nights, like we asked for this is a blessing.
Totally.
Somebody, right? Like somebody two years ago would be so thankful to have this crying baby right now. And so that's kind of been our
That's
thing.
interesting though when you think about it that way, because like there's even things in my life now, right, that like I'm in the process of. Savannah just reminded me of this the other day. Yesterday morning I was just kind of doing my own little kind of like devotion time and stuff. And I was at Pete's. And I just
Plug.
texted her. Yeah.
Plug.
No.
He's
We're drinking
accepting
Equator coffee though.
Yeah. So
right now.
you guys can fight it out. Sponsorship. We're open to it.
Oh my gosh. So I'm there, I'm typing away, and like, my mind just keeps going back to a couple of these things. And so I text her, I'm like, hey, just can't get this stuff out of my mind, and she replies with the, ever so graceful wisdom that she does.
Yes.
But it was like, first off,
Yeah.
she didn't say it with this tone.
Yeah.
This is the tone I read it in. Was like, first off, you're doing all of those things that you're feeling like you're dreaming about. You're just in process with them, and second off, like, you need to talk to Jesus about why you're circling this mountain right now, but it was interesting. It's like that feeling,
Right.
where, rewind a few years ago,
Right.
and you're like, oh, I like it'd be a dream to have, a couple kids, or to be doing this, or to be a youth pastor here, or to, just fill in the blank with whatever.
Yeah.
And then when you're in the middle of it,
Right.
you're in the middle of that process, you forget, like, this is what you asked for.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
That's funny.
This is the answer to the prayer that Dustin prayed 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Or whatever, or even
Totally.
2 months ago,
Yeah.
And so I don't know. There's I forget exactly the quote of the scripture, but it's like something of like, hey, look, like if you want to have a fruitful life, like an abundant life, if you want to have like, just blessings, just pouring out of your life, like it's going to be a little messy.
Yeah.
Like there's going to be a little mess in the barn, and cattle, cows, they make a mess. Barns are supposed to be messy.
Yeah.
And, or you can have a really tidy barn, a really tidy life, but you're probably not going to be as happy or fruitful or, those type of things. But like, this is kind of that, like where I'm like, no, Lord, give us a baby cow. Like, we want that blessing.
Don't call Aurora a cow, buddy.
She's got these little fat legs right now that are like the cutest. But I mean, like,
that's funny.
we'd rather have this than an empty life without her, kind of thing,
Totally.
So she's a blessing for sure.
That's awesome.
So, I don't know. Do you want more of the story, kind of the process, or?
I mean, that's good.
Yeah.
I mean, I just figure, listen, if you're listening to this and you're kind of in that process, I just say reach out to Buddy and Amy, because they've just been through it.
Yeah.
A couple year process.
Yeah.
And, dude, it's crazy.
Yeah.
I like what you're saying too, just that, like, recognizing the need for what's genuine empathy, but people sometimes don't understand what that actually looks like. But like that need for it in the process of like, I don't need an encouraging word right now.
Right.
I need an arm around my shoulders and just sitting with me while I cry.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I need right now.
Right.
And not minimizing the ability to do that.
Right.
I love the movie Inside Out,
Love.
Yeah, totally.
Disney plug. Sponsorship.
Dude, Inside Out, first off, was like, was aggravating for me in several ways. Totally.
Same.
Okay,
Same.
good. I'm like, not just
Like,
me.
I almost couldn't finish it because
Yeah. I'm like that, dude.
It's
the
probably
sad
going to be the
character-
same thing.
The side character drove me crazy the
Oh
whole
my
time.
gosh.
I'm just like, dude, get her out of here. Why would you write a
Yes.
character so annoying?
Yes.
But it was awesome.
Yeah.
But just that scene, man, where Joy is like looking through the memory, like her favorite memory of the girl winning, like where the team's celebrating her, even though they lost and the whole deal. And then she rewinds it and she sees what the sad emotion did, where she just sat with her. And actually, that was genuine empathy, where she just sat with her, like on that tree branch, so to speak. It was like her dad or someone came over and just like cried with her and was sad. And then through that, she was able to process it and kind of get to a place of joy.
Yeah.
That, I mean, I tell this to people all the time now, coming from that, where it's like the verse is, he promises to comfort all who mourn.
Yeah.
And so if you want the comfort, you got to mourn.
Yeah.
And learning to actually mourn and process your emotions versus
Let
just
yourself.
Exactly. Let yourself do it. Give yourself space to cry in or whatever it happens to be, so that you can actually process and move towards that place of comfort and joy.
And isn't it funny, like, too, like this is not Buddy against society, but like it's funny that like we have so many opportunities to like not mourn.
Yeah.
Yeah, so many things and vices, and like to feel that space that, like instead of actually letting ourselves feel the emotion, we're going to scroll on Instagram.
Yeah.
Instead of allowing ourselves the ability to be upset or feel the emotion of just like feeling wronged, in a situation, or even being upset at God, kind of thing. Like, we instead choose to, just binge things, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think, the amazing part of, Inside Out is it's like, this doesn't work. It doesn't work.
No.
And the same is true for
just keeps making
our
a
lives.
mess.
Yeah, it just keeps making a mess. And it seems like you're getting over it, but you're really just kind of stuffing it and everything. And so
it's weird too, because when you think about it in that context, like two kind of big things pop in my mind. First off, the distraction, like either whatever it happens to be, social media, or sometimes just busyness, housework.
Yeah. It's different for everybody.
Yeah. It doesn't matter. It's whatever the busyness is that's taking you away from that. And then the other thing, which is really interesting, I feel like more people feel justified in this one because you can recognize, the distraction is wrong, or just going to social media to whatever it happens to be, video games or whatever. Eating, dude, that was me. That's why I got huge, man, years ago. It's because I just was comfort eating and like distracting myself with going down to McDonald's and getting another McFlurry.
It's true. It's a real thing, because I mean, like, people think those type of things, binge eating or eating in that way, like, is only for people that are like massively out of control and huge. But like even myself, like I'll realize it, like, I'm like, I get home from like a really long, hard day at work or something. Yeah. And I'm like, man, I'm just going to dive into, I don't know, whatever, this bowl of cereal.
I deserve this.
I had a horrible day. And what's funny is like, you're not, it doesn't seem like you're trying to avoid something, but you're just like something about I don't know if it's sugar, the high sugar in that cereal, is like,
makes you feel good.
It makes
it's a dopamine rush,
you're rushed. And so you're not having to think about, it's an extreme, and
versus actually processing. Why am every day that I come home, am I feeling this way?
Right.
Or what is it about this situation?
Right. The other day too, like, driving from one place to the other, and I just had a lot of thoughts, and I immediately put the radio on. You know what I mean? Like I'm not a sports guy. Yeah. Like I'll watch, but sports radio I love listening to sports radio because it's so not in the vein of my life. You know what I mean? Like, and so I love it. So I put it on, and immediately I was just like, I'm running away from something now, because I put it on, so that I don't have to hear myself think. Yeah, you know what I mean. And I think we all have something like that. But like, I put it on, and then I'm like, I realize that, and I'm like, I could turn this off and allow myself to go where I need to right now, or not, or I can just avoid it, and be a 38-year-old man eventually, and then have to deal with it. Yeah. And so like, turn off the radio, and this has happened multiple times before, but like, and times where I haven't actually turned the radio off. Total. Oh, you know what I mean? Like, and it's the same as just having another round of cereal or whatever it is, but like, ended up just turning it off and like, okay, how do I actually feel right now? And this isn't, for me, it's not like, because I've gone through seasons where I'm like, I'm going to let myself feel this right now and like just stay there. But like, I don't know, just like this last time, just feeling like I'm going to turn this off with the intention of like, I want to discover and realize like what's making me feel this way, or so upset, or wounded, or whatever, that way I can actually like beat this and begin to remind myself of what's actually true. You know what I mean? Because like we can easily get into these like mind loops, that I would call them.
You know what's scary about that though too, is because like whatever situation you happen to be in at that time, it doesn't matter. Yeah. But you're in there, and it's surfacing things that you're struggling with, or emotional responses that you're having, and then you listening to music, talk radio. For me, it's podcasts. I love podcasts. I love intelligent discussions.
Binge listening to your podcast right now. Avoiding.
But don't feel guilty. This one's okay. No, but whatever it is,
Yeah.
what ends up happening is you move past the situation that was stirring up those feelings or that stress or anxiety or whatever it was that you're dealing with that you're trying to be distracted from.
Yeah.
The situation kind of will appear to resolve itself after a day or two, oftentimes.
Yeah.
Or
seems like it.
It seems like it.
Yeah, for
but
sure.
what ends up happening is you're just circling that mountain. I mean, you're just going to come back around to it again.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's what you're saying. Like eventually you're going to be 38, 48, 58, 68,
Yeah.
still dealing with the same issue.
Yeah.
Or still just acting the same way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Versus actually looking at, wow, I'm broken in this area, or I have hurt in this area, or.
And sometimes too, I kind of feel like it has, at least for me, what I'm realizing is there are certain things that like come around once a year, you know, like I'm like, oh, and I realize it's like, oh, like this happened last year. And, you know, it's funny, like the year before, you know, like right around spring, summertime, like I'm feeling this, you know, or, you know, and so like kind of learning to, even in the day of the week kind of thing, you know, like, or time of day.
What makes you, what keeps you from looking at those things?
Keeps
you
me,
personally, like when you're, why are you being distracted? Like what, have you even thought about that?
Why am I allowing myself to get distracted? Or?
Yeah. Like why are you not looking at whatever it is that's stressing you out or triggering you, know, whatever you want to say.
I think it's, I think I'm pretty compartmentalized in my mind. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of guys are, not to generalize, but like for me, I imagine everything's kind of in its own little box. You know what I mean? So like, say bills for a second, right? Like,
dude,
like
why'd you got to bring that?
Right. And so, you know, we'll my wife and I will talk about, you know, this thing, that needs to get taken care of. Right. And so in my mind, what's happening is we're taking this box out together and we're opening this box to talk about what's inside of it, which is bills. Cause that's what it's labeled. This box is called bills.
Yeah.
You know, so and it's in my mind. And so we're there, but then somehow it's connected to something else for my wife, or, you know, it's connected to, you know, I don't know, something else, you know?
Yeah.
I can't even think of an example.
You're only in the bill box right now.
In the bill box. And so,
awesome.
So for me, like, and then, you know, if she brings something else up, it's really frustrating because I'm like, no, we're talking about bills right now. Like, I can't even go there, you know, like,
stop distracting.
And so in my mind, I think I'm going to dive into this till I figure it out.
Yeah.
And to answer your question, I think in order to avoid so let me put it like this. I get nervous to deal with things because I know how deep that box is. You know what I mean? Like, and I know
you don't want to open it.
I don't want to open it.
When you open it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And so like it's scary, it's dark, it's mysterious. It's deep, you know, like, and I don't know how deep that box is, and I don't know how much time I have. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I can't be a mess going to the staff meeting, you know, on something that's totally unrelated.
I have
you know
a
what I mean?
5-minute drive.
I have a 5-minute drive. You know what I mean? Like, plus I want to be, I want to be a present dad, you know, like, and so like, you know, I'm just going to put on the sports radio and not go there. I'll go there later, you know, but later eventually is 36, you know, and so I just keep pushing it down further and further.
Yeah.
But what I'm realizing is like the more I like, I guess, suppress and like keep that box like unopened and untaken care of is, you know, that year cycle or that month cycle or the day cycle, like it comes back around in my mind, mind loop. And because what I'm realizing is because I'm not actually allowing myself to go there and apply what's truly true. Because, you know, you can think of something that's like, you know, you had a middle school teacher that said something to you that just sticks with you. Yeah. And until you actually deal with it, it's your truth. Like it's the reality that you experience, you know?
Totally.
And so like if you don't go there and let light the light of truth and the truth of light, to like shine on that situation and really actually see like, oh, you know what? Like, this is what's actually true about me, or this is what's actually true about that situation. Like,
totally.
It's going to just keep looping and looping and looping.
Yeah.
And
until it's interesting now. Like, so growing up, when I'd hear people talk about a quiet time,
right?
Like in my mind, I'm just like, ugh.
Yeah.
Like, especially as a kid, like 1 hour of like.
Were you a loud kid too?
Me?
Yeah.
Loud?
Yeah.
Really? You're gonna ask me that?
I mean, I was just curious. we're
super short attention span and super loud.
Yeah,
Okay.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
I imagine.
Yeah. We'd sit in church.
So quiet times.
Oh my gosh, dude. It's like just the thought of it,
Yeah. Even now, I feel like,
bro.
Yeah.
No. So what's crazy is that like you would, or like, your 1 hour, like just sitting and reading the Bible for an hour. Like, listen, there's times where that is awesome.
Yeah.
There's other times where just like, it's just challenging.
Right.
What's interesting, the way you're describing this situation is the necessity for making space to process.
Yeah.
And like we don't live our life. A lot of people,
Right.
myself included at times,
Right.
like we don't give ourselves that margin.
It's true.
So you get up, dealing with the babies,
Right.
the kids. For me,
Right.
you, it's like Aurora, Amy, and then you got to get to work. 5-minute drive to work, staff meeting, in the day's work, on your way home, baby, wife, dinner, bed.
Yeah.
And you don't have the
And then
time.
loop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you just do it again. And you don't have the time to actually unpack that box.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Where it's like, this box does take some time.
Right.
And so it's like that like meditation time, quiet time,
Yeah.
whatever title you want to give it, but it's like actual set aside time to process, to invite Jesus into that process, to be able to, because that takes time.
Yeah.
Like to do what you're talking
does.
about, where it's like this lie that you're believing or this thing that feels true.
Right.
God, what do you actually say about it? That takes a little bit of time.
Totally.
It's not something that's always instantaneous,
Right.
in the process.
Yeah. And I think too, like what I get nervous of is like, man, I don't want to have to go there. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like it's gonna take forever because I know of how big of a mess it is. I don't want to, have to go there. And
in that
take
place,
the time to.
Yeah. Well, in that place too, it's weird. In my mind, when like a lot of times, I think probably most of us, logically, that, I'm not dumb. Like if maybe you're feeling like, man, I'm just so dumb in this situation.
Right.
Like, I know I'm not dumb. I roll.
Right.
But it doesn't feel true. It doesn't feel right. And it's just like, for me, it feels similar to just like, it feels obnoxious to like, have to like do that.
Right.
I don't know if, does that make sense? Like, weird. I don't know. For me, I think probably a bigger thing for that. Like, I think it's in what you're describing, but honestly, it's like not wanting to like admit my own inadequacy,
right?
Or my there's something wrong with me. Like, I don't want to look at the fact that I actually have this issue.
Yeah.
Like, no, this is my issue.
Right. Yeah.
Like, I don't want to think about it that way,
And I think too, like, where it's tough because you can easily feel like we're being very ambiguous too, like, with what we're talking about, like what's inside, what kind of boxes that we're talking about, like,
totally.
But like for me, like dad stuff, self-image stuff, like, and even, doubt, purpose, all the, those things that I don't know. Those are things that I'm dealing with.
Success, like at work or like
success,
whatever that measure of success is, and it's weird because it changes.
Because it touches a handful of things.
Oh yeah, and the thing with success is it changes. Like there's been seasons in my life where I was like, success looks like a massive youth ministry. Other times where it was like, success looks like having healthy leaders or like just a handful of healthy students. Whatever it was.
Right.
Sometimes success just looks like not feeling like my day was wasted.
Right.
But all of those things, it like comes back to like, I have this problem and I don't want to admit it.
Right. Yeah.
Or just like, I'm afraid that it's going to be something broken with me or wrong with me versus like, no, this is just an area of growth.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, what freaks me out is like, I don't want to go in those deep, dark boxes because I don't see a way out.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so like, so it kind of gets to that point where it's like, well, I'm gonna just delay it then, you know what I mean? Like, I already know that I'm inadequate. That's what it feels like.
So I just
I'm
have
already
to cope. I'm just gonna feel good about
it is what it is, you know,
Yeah.
and like, and so, a lot of times that's, to be totally honest, that's like at the root of why I'm like pushing it back,
Yeah.
and so a lot of times, like the times that I actually allow myself to go there, like, and it's usually with, my wife, or even honestly with you, like, times in, my office, like, we'll just, like, let's just go there. Like, okay, like, well, what's really down in there? Like, let's be true and honest. And I think you have to allow yourself to say things out loud, you know what I mean? Like, to somebody else, like, because then you're able to hear yourself say it.
Yeah.
And you're like, you maybe have heard yourself say it a bazillion times in your head, or even honestly out loud, about yourself, but like saying it, with somebody that, like, say, like with you, like, I'll say something and you're just like, yeah, I'm like, I can understand like where that's coming from, but like, this is what's true about you. Like, that's not, what God's word says, about you or something, like allowing yourself the freedom to actually go there and, actually pull stuff out. And what I see a lot of times is like, well, that wasn't so bad. Like, I'm really glad I did that, or like, or
this wasn't so scary actually.
Cause it's daring, but like, it actually didn't take as long as I thought. Like, I thought it was going to be like, here's what I thought. There's a handful of things that I'll be going through, and I'm like, I feel like I need to get away,
right?
To like for a week, and just process this stuff, But like that thing that I thought was going to take a week, like just opening up, and actually allowing myself to like sort through those files or the whatever that is inside that box, say them out loud and dialogue about them, and be true and honest about them. I'm like, well, that was like less than an hour, and I said everything I needed to, and but here's the thing is like, just opening it up, allowing some light to come in. Yeah, I mean light as in like being known about it. Like, Amy and I are we say that all the time. Like, can I just be known about this? Like, might be totally false. But this is my reality right now. What I feel like is my reality. Being known. Letting the light of truth actually come in, and I'm actually seeing that it's a quick work. Like, when you allow yourself the time to do it.
It's weird that issue of being known is like so huge, fundamental for like everybody's like psyche, I guess would be the way to say it. We don't do it. We're not even aware of it. Like, I haven't thought about this in a little while, but that the book The Gifts of Imperfection by Brené Brown, she at the very beginning of the book, she talks about the history of the word courage, and it, like, when you break it down, actually to be known by your heart, and this issue of like, it takes courage to be vulnerable and known, like by your heart, but really that's what you're talking about. And it's like, once you do that, like, oh, hey, this is not bad, or like it's weird how there's like this weird shift, when you think about it,
totally. And I think too, like the scary thing is that 1 hour or whatever it is, like the thing I thought was going to take a week, you shed light on it, you get known about it, but it still takes time, like
to walk it out,
And I think that's like the thing, where I wasn't prepared for a while, where I'm like, hey, I thought we talked about this, and I thought I got over it. You know what I mean? Like, it felt so good, 2 weeks ago, but that 2 week loop hit, and it's back again, that thought process. But like you talk really well on this subject, but like just actually being able to retrain your brain to like, okay, what is actually true, and actually hold on to that. Otherwise you're gonna bring all that junk back into that box, and so like
neuroplasticity, folks,
that's what it's called. Google it, YouTube it.
It's huge. People forget, like you have this significant breakthrough,
right?
And you shed light on the subject. Right. You feel super good, right? Everything's there, right. And then the actual rubber meets the road sort of situation, and you're like, wait, I thought I dealt with this.
Right.
And it's like, no, you have like mind habits. Like your brain actually has formed a habit of thinking a certain way, and you actually have to do the homework of taking the time to retrain how your brain processes this situation.
Yeah.
You get into it and you have to think through the steps of like, this is what I was thinking.
Right.
This is what I was feeling. Mm-hmm. This is the truth of it. And you have to you actually have to practically choose to think that way.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's
for a period of weeks. I mean, it takes time.
Yeah, it does. And I think too, like, in that first moment, when, like, say, because, obviously, like, now I'm trying to make a practice of actually doing this and allowing myself the time and everything to get into those boxes, Yeah. I think especially because I have a baby now that I'm like, I don't want to carry a ton of stuff into, being a dad, and which is its own box. But like,
it's a really big box.
But I think that first go round where I'm like dealing with something, and and letting light be shed on that and truth and being known. And it feels really great. I think what's actually happening in that moment is like, you're okay.
Yeah.
Like, or you do have enough, or you don't have enough, but you're okay. Like you're still loved. You're still a good dad, like, life is going to be okay. Like, what's happening is you're there's a sense of revelation, like where something's being, the truth is actually, being like settling in, but the work really starts, and strength is really being built when it comes back around. Yeah. And it's your choice being able to say like, no, I'm going to choose, cause you have the choice of like letting yourself go back to, what it was before how the box was filled with all this stuff and lies and things you've bought into and everything. Yeah. Or this new truth that's like, no, I'm going to be a good dad. Like, I have time, I am enough. I do have purpose and I do have wisdom and actually like being able to allow myself, to rise up in that moment to be like, choose truth, and I think that's where like you said, the rubber really does meet the road, because that's where you're going to start getting that traction in then becoming a more, I don't know, like whole person.
Totally.
And, actually living from truth rather than like all this stuff that's built up in that box, and so I don't know.
That's awesome. Yeah. It's really good too. I was circling back. We don't have to talk about this, but like I was about to say the other issue that a lot of us like don't really think about or talk about. When I was in like the kind of, there's like a really big kind of fundamental shift that my life took several years ago. It's a couple years into my marriage, and we were seeing this counselor, Heath Wise, who is absolutely amazing. She's like, I can't even talk about it. She was actually incredible. She was had a practice kind of based out of the church that we were on staff with, so we could meet with her for free.
Very cool.
It was awesome.
That's great.
So Savannah was like, we're taking you up on that.
That was awesome.
She was like, we need help.
That's great.
And we did. And then I found out how much help we actually needed. Oh, Lord.
You don't know until you go.
No. But what was cool is it was like right in this time, man, when God was just, I just was in the thick of it. But she would shift from like counseling to inner healing. It was really cool, like back and forth. It was really powerful. But we came up to this issue, and I'm realizing how much of our culture's language and interaction with each other is like this. She used the term mind rape.
Wow.
Really powerful term, kind of scary.
Yeah.
But it's essentially where the feelings of someone are invalidated is essentially what it breaks down to. But it would be like, let's say you just had something really sad happen. Somebody hurt your feelings. Maybe a boss, maybe someone came in and said, "Hey, buddy, this project is crap," and you're like really hurt. And I come in and I hear you say, "I hear you," and you're like, "Dude, I just feel hurt." And I'm like, "No, you shouldn't feel hurt. Like it's not that big of a deal. You need to like, it's not that,
And we've all done that.
We've all
done
feel
that
way.
Yeah.
The statement "you shouldn't feel that way." It's like, it's this thing that invalidates the person's process and emotional trauma that they've just experienced.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? But in like trying to encourage people, that's what we do oftentimes.
Yeah.
Like you shouldn't feel sad about
Right.
this bill that's there. God's your
Right.
provider.
Right.
Okay, totally true. God's your provider.
Yeah.
And he's going to bring miracle blessings, whatever, whatever it happens to be. But it's okay to feel
Yeah.
panicked or scared or sad
Right.
or whatever it happens to be
Right.
in that process. You know what I mean? Like
It's funny because even you saying that, you're in that mode, like God's your provider, like, yeah, we could live life like that, like where, and that's, I feel like what God really wants us to live life like is like totally dependent, like God, you're my provider kind of thing. But I think that he wants us to, I feel like he wants us to be whole people in the way of like, he doesn't just want to be our provider. Like he wants us to actually be people that like, are able to feel the weight of their own decisions, why that bill is there, you know what I mean? Like,
Totally.
and actually be able to, I don't know how to say, be a part of it.
Yeah.
Cause really it's like you're putting way more pressure, not that God's going to feel like pressure, but like, it's one way almost, and I feel like, God really wants partnership.
Well, it's that thing that Paul even wrote about. Like, I wish that you were mature enough to have meat.
Right.
But you guys are a bunch, essentially, you guys are a bunch of babies.
Right.
I can only give you milk.
Yeah.
And that's what that is, where God actually doesn't want you to be a screaming infant.
Right.
Where you just like, feed me.
Right.
Change my diaper.
Yeah.
Where he's actually looking for what you're talking about. Hey, you can handle some of this, and we are going to co-labor together.
Yeah.
The invitation to co-labor through the process.
Right.
So not only is he providing for you, but you're also learning to not make those same choices that led you down. And there's some things that's like, sometimes it feels like it's out of your control, but there's a lot of things that choices that we've made that have taken us there. Right. But the thing with the emotions, where it's that statement of like, you shouldn't feel that way, what it did for me and what it does for most people, especially at a young age, is it fundamentally communicates that the way you feel about something is wrong.
Yeah.
So you shouldn't trust how you feel about this situation.
Yeah.
You shouldn't trust yourself, or you shouldn't trust who you are.
Yeah.
Or who you are is wrong. The way you feel about a situation is wrong.
Yeah. And something's wrong with you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So then every situation after that, I'm like, you'd have like experiences, and you just always discount and downplay your opinion, your feeling, your process in it.
Right.
Which basically just heaps on shame.
Yeah.
Because you're afraid of who you are. Like you're ashamed of who you think you are or whatever.
Right.
And it cuts you off from what you just talked about, which is being known.
Yeah.
It cuts you off from it because I can't be known because I'm afraid I'm going to get found out.
Right.
I'm afraid you're going to find out who I am isn't really this thing. So I have to kind of build these barriers,
Totally. Yeah.
It's just weird how that all kind of connects.
It does. Yeah.
I
see it a ton of times. Like, I think we all kind of know people that are like overly, apologizing, like, oh, sorry, 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 and it's like something
that's me, by the way,
silly, silly, where it's like, I don't know, I can't even think of an example, but like, where people don't feel like, I don't know how to say, comfortable in their own self to be like, this is where I am, and I'm bringing them their whole self to, and so they're apologizing for bringing their self to the room or the atmosphere, and like we'll never know the true them, the benefit of who they are in our lives, because they're ashamed of, their view is that they should be ashamed of, themselves. And that's like one of those like like never tell anybody you should be ashamed of yourself. Like that's like
Jesus took all his shame on the cross. I hate that. Like shame on you. That
shame on you. Shame
just,
on you. Oh man,
dude, kills me.
Tell me about why you hate it,
dude. Because Jesus took all the shame on the cross. All right. So why would I invalidate the work of the cross by putting that shame back on you?
Right.
It doesn't mean that we don't have consequences for a choice. It doesn't mean that like there's not like even like punishment. The idea of punishment is wrong. There's consequences, and I should allow consequences to do the teaching. But if I'm constantly communicating a need for punishment, I'm saying that Jesus taking the punishment on the cross wasn't enough. You also have to pay,
right?
And that's what that same thing with shame. And it's like, it really does arrest people's development, and it arrests people's ability to, like what you say, bring who they are to a room.
Yeah.
That gift that God created in them, like they are a gift.
Right.
They don't just carry gifts. People are gifts, and they bring that gift to a room, to a business meeting, to a community, to a family, whatever it happens to be. And that shame piece will hold that back.
Right.
It's like Satan's primary tool, I feel like, in so many ways, where it keeps people from actually bringing who they are.
Right.
Like the purpose and like the reason why they're created, like who you are, buddy. Like you are carrying specific things for this church and for this staff. And when you function in that place of shame, you're actually the enemy. Through just a simple trick, is keeping the very thing that God intended to be released in this community. Right. He's keeping that from happening.
Yeah.
Because you can't bring who you are. You actually can't bring the gift of who you are to this people for whatever reason.
Right.
You know, and I think that I think there's so many people struggling with a lack of purpose only because they haven't figured out how to just release who they are wherever they're at.
Right.
Whether they work at a gas station, whether they're a teacher at a school, whether they're just a parent, whether they commute, there's a salesperson, doesn't matter. Like they are a gift, and they are actually bringing a release of the kingdom of heaven wherever they're at.
Right.
And they can't do that if they're constantly holding themselves back or afraid to be known.
Right.
They're ashamed of who they are, the way they think about something. Sometimes, like even conversations with my wife, it's like this was several years ago, but like when we were in like the crux of our big process, where it's like the assumption that the way you're thinking about something is wrong.
Right.
Like that's a problem.
Right.
Like you're a gift. Like you're going to see something in this situation that I don't see, and I need to know that. I need to hear that. Like we are meant to work together in this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, and I think I remember our my senior pastors at the church I grew up at down in Madera.
Nice.
Love them. Pastor Roger and Dixie. Hi.
We should tag them just so they can get that.
Shout out. But I remember Miss Dixie. She's the best.
Oh.
She's the best. She just sounds sweet, doesn't she?
Miss Dixie.
Oh,
that's
she's
awesome.
And she was the coolest because like she can play like jazz piano like crazy. So she would always like put a little spin, a little flair on every song.
That's awesome.
It was the coolest. And dude, it's crazy. She used to. She probably is still doing some of my songs back home. Like, but it's the coolest because like she would put a little flair to it. I'm like,
that's awesome.
That was awesome.
That's rad.
But she said something like about her husband. She said, "You can't polish a pearl. You can't polish." And so the idea was like, no, Roger's a gift to me, to us.
Yeah.
And it was kind of vice versa because like. In a way, like I don't know how to explain, but like they had their own personalities. Yeah. And it wasn't like, hey, let's just leave room for, us not to grow, but it was like, hey, let's leave room for each other's gifts,
Yes.
And so if you're feeling this strongly, like I'm going to see it as a pearl. I'm going to see it as a gift. And I'm not going to try to, rub out this, gift that you are to me. That is really just, it really speaks about valuing each other, and her, even if it wasn't she's not into pearls or whatever, like she sees who he is as a gift to and valuable.
What's interesting is like I had this conversation with Savannah where that feeling of like I don't want to feel like you're trying to change me, but I need to hear,
right,
where it's like we need to like expect that we're going to grow,
right,
but in the right way. So it's like this thing that makes me good at communicating, when I'm preaching or like in a podcast or something, whatever that, like that thing is really horrible in parenting situations,
right,
like lecturing and like I'm going to preach to my kids. They're just going to roll their eyes, but she's there, and it's like if she recognizes the gift in Pearl, so it's not like this is wrong with you, don't do this as a parent or whatever. It's more of like, hey, recognize this is an issue in this environment.
Right.
Try this other method.
Totally.
What it versus like it just being something wrong with you or,
Right.
It's like there's actual wisdom there. There's a pearl there.
Right.
Context, environment changes all that, a little bit, but also in other areas.
Yeah. It's funny too, because it's like for okay. So a great example, kind of a simple example is like Amy's artistic. Yeah. But she loves, when it comes to cooking, like she loves being able to follow a recipe. Yeah. She wants, and her value is like, she really wants to experience what the creators, have intended for her and for us to experience. Totally. I'm like, babe, I'm just going to add hot sauce. I'm just going to add some chili paste.
Try it first.
That's exactly what she said.
Try it first. That's
we've been together. We've been to dinner together. Yeah. So like,
that's awesome.
So, but for me, like, I love breaking the box. I love going outside of the recipe. Yeah. Right. And because I'm like, man, this would taste so much better with just a little bit of this, and she's like, it doesn't call for coriander, so, and so like for us, like we kind of balance each other out in a way where it's like, like we'll find areas to like kind of like yield and allow, each other's like gifting, or even honestly, sometimes, preference, like, and so, because I want to experience the gift that you are to me, and if it means following a recipe, like I'm going to do that. And now we're kind of to a place where she's like, okay, try it, and then you can add whatever else you want.
Totally.
Yeah. Because honestly, the for her, I think the biggest thing is like it's connection. Yeah. I want us to connect over what they intended us to cook,
And then we can talk about it.
And then we can talk about it. And then
have opinions.
But there's other times where, and so like I will like intentionally yield to that, because to me, what's the revelation, the thing that I was realizing is like, I'm so much about what I'm going to taste, which is selfishness, like
totally,
over what your, how you want to connect right now. How you want to connect right now is connecting over how this tastes. And this is a simple scenario, but it does like play into a ton of things in life, where we go, what we do, It's
funny in that situation. The times like with me and Savannah, or even me with leaders or other people, where I've really failed in this is where I've taken like my preference and made it like the right way and attached some sort of moral code to it, or ethical code to it, or something that like, no, following the recipe is right. Right. It's not my preference. Right. It's right. It's the way to do it. And so you wanting to add hot sauce is wrong. And even if I don't communicate that specifically, or I'm not saying that, it comes across in my attitude where it kind of like dismisses or downplays someone else's preference. Now there are things that are right and wrong, just so everybody hears. Right. There are specifics, there's morality, there's ethics, there's all that stuff that is right and wrong. But when we're talking about like recipes and things like this, like it really is, there is a lot of different preferences, and it really kept me actually from discovering other people's gifts, honestly.
And experiencing them.
Totally. Yeah. With like when you look at like leadership, it made me a micromanager. I like
doing your own preferences. Yeah.
Totally. I'd have a team work on a project. Dude. Yeah. Well, then you have to like, not only do you have to like communicate the end goal of the project, but then you have to communicate every little step to do it, and then you have to follow through on every little step. Yeah. And basically,
and then you're always
bummed
because it's never going to be.
It will never be as good as the way you're doing it, because it's your specific preference, and it would be impossible to communicate every little nuance of that. And there's some specific things that need that, but more often than not, it doesn't. Yeah, it's the end goal, the value. Yeah. There's maybe a few values around it, like maybe these 2 or 3 specifics. Yeah, and it basically like it kept me from ever really being able to delegate, or not just delegate in terms of giving jobs to other people, but actually like raising leaders, like actually empowering them to do well. Right. It was literally, you're either doing what I'm saying or now you're on your own. And I couldn't find the middle ground for years. Right. For years.
It's tough.
Years. Yeah.
Yeah. It's tough in like every field too. Cause I mean, even, okay, like I'm thinking, someday I'm going to teach Aurora how to, wash dishes.
Oh no, don't. Oh, okay. So I can do this with leaders. I'm not. I haven't made it yet.
Yes.
I'm doing. I've had victory.
Well, it's a
with
big difference.
leaders,
Like,
but like I haven't.
it's different. It's different in
With
the
kids.
everyday, like you're at home life, you know, like, and it, obviously it shouldn't be, but,
man.
but yeah, you're right. Like
it's torture.
It's tough, man. Like
Dude.
that's the thing we have to die on. Like
Literally,
figure out how
I can't
to.
even. I haven't figured out how to like help my kid make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Right. Oh man, I have a good story for you.
Dude.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, okay, you take the peanut butter, you smooth that out a certain way.
Yeah.
You clean off the knife.
Yeah.
And then you
Sure.
get the jelly.
Yeah.
You don't transfer.
Yeah.
Right. Then you do it a certain like. I get so caught up. I get so caught up in like a specific way of doing it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, I have to sometimes, even with like Savannah, she's making lunches. Like if she's making lunches and I'm in there, sometimes I have to go out of the kitchen.
Yeah.
Because I know I'm just going to say something like, I'm just going to sound like a jerk, you know, like, and it's not necessary.
It's not going to taste any different in your mouth.
No.
When you're eating it later.
Maybe the amount of peanut butter and jelly matters, you know, bread to filling ratio.
Sure.
But aside from that, no.
Yeah.
The way it's spread has no bearing on its flavor.
Yeah. 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 It's
What's
funny.
what's your story though about that?
So, because I want to come back to this concept, but I remember being a kid. So I love peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, like so much that like I actually had.
Did you do like the toasting kind, or would you just
just straight regular?
Yeah. Okay.
For most of the time I live. I want to be careful saying this. I live in extremes.
Okay.
So like I love. If something tastes nasty, like a nasty cheese, or so like espresso, like a lot of people don't just like espresso. Yeah, I love espresso, and so Amy's always like, "You're always like trying to like make yourself why make yourself like something?" Yeah, I don't know what it is, but like even from being a kid, like I like just a ton. I like turning things up to like 11. Yeah. When they shouldn't go to 11, you know? Yeah. And so for me, it's adding a ton of hot sauce, right? Like totally. And Amy's always like,
if a little hot sauce is good.
Everyone says, how can you taste, anything but hot sauce? And I'm like, because my palate is so like trained, I can taste all the layers. Yeah. I can taste everything, and so, which is funny. But like, I remember as a kid, I would be making peanut butter jelly sandwich. And again, I love peanut butter and jelly sandwich so much that it was, at like weddings, you have a unity ceremony. Yeah. Ours was, peanut butter, jelly, and honey. It was us coming together. It was our thing. Cause I was like, I don't want to do sand. I don't want to.
That's really beautiful, but still.
I also had like this crazy like prophetic dream, and it was like super meaningful. And
that's awesome.
But it's just like togetherness, unity. Like
what was the default jelly in your house?
Oh, it was.
Did you have a default?
We didn't really
jelly?
have a default.
So like ours,
default maybe would have helped.
So like default was strawberry, and then if there was anything else, that was the special. So like for me, jam void of flavor equals strawberry. For Savannah,
interesting.
Jelly void of flavor is grape.
Oh, that's great.
So like growing up, it was the grape jelly was just the standard, and then if there was strawberry, it was something special.
Interesting.
For me, strawberry is like, it's like vanilla ice cream. It's where you start with, and then you go to peach, apricot, raspberry,
that's interesting,
blueberry, whatever else. Anyway,
so as a kid, I was making. I'll get to the story. Okay. Eventually, I was making a sandwich for myself. And I was like, I'm gonna stack this thing. Yeah. I'm making it myself. Totally. I'm making it for myself. Yes. Nobody else has to eat this. And I remember putting the amount of jelly that I wanted.
Oh no.
And the amount of peanut butter that I wanted. And getting ready to go eat it, and it's like falling out, right? Like the jelly's falling out. Yeah. And my dad, before I can even take a bite, like my dad was like, "What? Like, what are you doing? Like, no, that is way too much jelly, And so like he literally takes it over to the sink and is scraping off jelly. And as a kid, I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. Like, I could have eaten that. Now we're wasting food. Yeah, yeah. You know what I mean?
You're throwing it away.
You're throwing it away. Like, I don't understand. Like my 6-year-old self, or however old I was, like, this doesn't make any sense. Yeah. Because, and so that always like stayed with me, for some reason, but now like I can understand like sugar, like just that's a lot of sugar.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's mostly sugar.
It's mostly sugar. Can I have a sugar sandwich, please?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So, all I say, like,
Okay.
when it comes with Amy, like,
Yeah.
you're like, I didn't want to. I began to realize, like, I'm raising my personal experience of this dinner over her value for connection. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, like, in a way, like, once I realized that, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna really pay attention to that, because, like,
Yeah.
I don't know, for me, like, standing before the Lord, like, someday, you know, He's not gonna ask me, you know, like, hey, like, were you a good cook? Like, or did you live it up and enjoy life? You know, like, and no, He's going to ask, like, did you learn to love? Like, did you learn to lay your life down? And, you know, did you learn to love one another? Because we were called to love one another. And that requires almost a death to your own preference at times, you know, choosing other people's ways over, you know, maybe your own preference kind of thing. And so for me, I'm going to be asked, like, did you learn to connect with your wife? Yeah. And if I could get it down right now in this stupid dinner, you know, like, hey, Blue Apron, like, sponsorship, you know, like, cause that's really what it came down to, you know. She's like, there are professional chefs.
Yes. They have like pictures and stuff, like, it's super step by step.
Super
right?
cool.
Yeah.
For us, it was fun because it's like kind of date night to be able to, like,
totally.
I mean, we cook together all the time, but, like, something like that we would never cook, you know?
Yeah.
Like a great bowl of ramen or something, like, it was awesome. But if I elevated myself, my own preference over her desire to connect over what the creators had intended us to experience. Yeah. Like, I'm losing. I'm winning in the short, you know, like, because I'm like, but I'm realizing, man, like I'm actually missing the point here. I'm living a pretty selfish life. And I realized that with a lot of other things too. Like, it began to open up, you know, where I was maybe doing that other places.
It's interesting too, like, thinking about, like, having Tristan make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich or something like that. Oftentimes it's my impatience as a parent where I don't want to have to clean up your mess, or I don't want to have to like, okay,
waste the jelly.
You waste the jelly. You're going to make a sandwich. It's going to take you 10 minutes. I can make it for you in 20 seconds. Let me just do it real quick.
Yeah.
So that way we can move about my day. We can just move on, you know?
Man, that's rough.
And, dude, that one, I just, like, a constant reminder. Like, there's a lot of areas that, like, I look at my kid's handwriting, Tristan's handwriting now. He's 3rd grade. It's awesome. And it gets better every year. And he works on it. Yeah. He practices on it. But, you know, 2 years ago when he first started writing, I was like, dude, I was up in arms, like within myself. I mean, I worked really hard to not put that on him, but I remember my internal frustration of just like, just write the letter this way, like, oh my gosh, you know. And now Cohen in kindergarten, you know, finishing up kindergarten this year. And I'm like, I just have to remind myself, I'm like, oh yeah, in a year or two, this is going to be a non-issue. Right. I need to make sure it's not a like, I need to make sure it is a non-issue now. Yeah. And just continue to, like, help him in the process and not, you know what I mean? Like, not somehow make sure that every letter he writes is perfect.
Yeah. And I think too, like, again, now that I'm a dad, like, which I'm still not even used to saying that, you know, like, is like, man, like, I don't want my preference of experiencing life to override Aurora's experience of life. In a way, here's what I mean. Like, I don't want it to be so much about me or my experience that, like, now I'm bringing in all this junk to her, you know, like,
because there's a difference,
because now I'm leaving a wake of a mess, you know, like, in her life. Well, Dad doesn't like when I do this or something like that, you know, like, I'm so nervous to make that kind of mess that like I really want to, and the place you really learn is obviously in marriage and stuff like that, you know.
It's interesting too, because, like, I think there's been a lot of, like, parental reaction to those sorts of issues in their life, and it's, for a lot of people, it has swung so far to the other side where they literally are, it's just whatever their kid's preference is, versus like actually training and raising your child. Do you know what I'm saying? And there, you can train, you can raise your child in a way that's healthy, that doesn't leave emotional baggage, and gives them space for their own process and journey in a way that actually empowers them with healthy, strong character. You know what I mean? Versus just like, oh no, I don't want to like squelch your personality. You know what I mean? Versus like, your baby's screaming, throwing a fit, and it's like, or maybe not baby, but child or whatever. And it's like, no, there's like, you can like actually parent and not squelch who they are.
Right.
There's a big difference.
Right. Absolutely. And so like, I don't know, like I think that's something that's really on my mind a lot now in these days. And especially, trying to beat this as a husband, like where, I don't know, like I want to allow and create space
totally
where I'm able to experience my wife's preferences.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it really is an experience.
Totally.
I'm experiencing something different than what I want to.
She's a freaking gift to you.
Yeah,
you chose her.
And because she's a gift to me. And more than just with Amy, but like friends too. Like, hey, like, so like an okay example is like, I'll be driving out to, go surf with the guys, and it's just great windshield time hanging out, but I'm like, hey, like, what do you want to listen to? Like, why don't you,
totally
put the playlist on? And I'm like, I would never choose to listen to this, but it's super vibey. Like this is great, And so in a way you're experiencing them, you're experiencing their world. And so,
and really learning to appreciate all of these people around you, these gifts that God has given you, that like there's such like wisdom and just like life in the people and the gifts that are around us versus just being ultra like consumed with your own preference, your own way of doing stuff. It's not that your own way is bad. Like people revert like this weird like false humility crap. Like, I'm just this whatever little worm. My opinion is wrong. It has nothing to do with that. It actually has with what it has to do with is appreciating these people in your life, and
it's choosing them. It's a golden rule. It's loving one another. You know,
That's awesome. Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Changing subjects a little bit. Because
I was going to say one time.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
Like something that's really helped me in a lot of this is like in laying your own preference down and experiencing someone else's, like because it is a battle, like it is, there is a choice. Like, if you can win the day, you can win the week.
Yeah.
And so like, if in a way, like if I can push myself to choose, Amy's preference or like a friend's preference through the intentionality of like, because I want to experience them. I want to, like, for me, that's a win.
Yeah.
Anytime that you could like put the mic on somebody else or the camera on somebody else, like where maybe it could be on you or should be on you. Like it's a win.
Yeah.
And totally. I personally want to be that person way more often,
And what's interesting about that is that is all framed in the context of like growth, maturity, even like raising people up in a way. Like I think about like certain leaders on my team right now where it's like that perspective is what enabled me to say like, yes, you run, you like you make this decision now. Like you have my heart, you totally have the vision and goal of what we're going for. Like you do it, you know what I mean? In this context of really being able to empower people, but it's not separated from, I think about that. I've seen it done wrong. The reason why I'm saying this is I've heard people communicate that value, and I haven't seen you do this. Like this isn't a thing about you. This is other places that I was at, and actually not here at all, at this church, New Life Church, but I've seen it done where the value was there, but it just looked like, hey, you go do this, versus the like, I don't know.
Trust.
Yes. Building trust, extending trust, like even partnering in the process of like, hey, I'm going to give you the microphone, but there's still feedback. There's still growth. There's still like, hey, let's work on this. Let's whatever. It's like, it's not separated from those things, where you're actually training people and raising people up and really actually partnering with them.
Yeah.
It doesn't even have to be in like in an arrogant way. It's like partnering with their own growth of like in that process.
Right. And there's a process and that's the intentionality. I heard, Craig Groeschel, he has like a leadership podcast and it's super good. Highly recommend it. After this podcast, go Go subscribe. It's way good. But he said something like, people say, if you do something out of 10, but you want to empower somebody else to do it. If somebody else can do it at an 8, you should have them do it. He said, I would even change that to if somebody could do it at a 5.
Dang.
A 5 or a 6, you should not be doing it. But at a 5 or a 6 with some feedback.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That makes sense.
And that's the thing, because they will eventually be an 8, a 10,
And to get there, you actually have to do it and feel the weight
Right.
of your own choices on your shoulders.
Right.
You have to feel the weight
Right.
of like leadership.
Yeah.
to
And it
grow
does
in
something to a
leadership,
leader too, I think.
Yeah.
Like, because again, it puts value on that person and what they bring,
Yeah.
because there's a lot of, space to fail,
Yeah.
but, with that feedback loop is, key. I forget, who it was, I think it was, Carl Lentz. He said like, hey, look, you have to extend both trust and clarity.
Yes, I love that.
Trust and clarity. I think, or maybe it was either him or Craig Shell, but he's like, if you extend like just like trust, like, hey, like whatever you want to do, like do it. Like I trust you. I trust you. You do it. But then they come back with that thing, and it's like, you're super upset about it because it doesn't look how you hope.
I know I said I trusted you, but I need you to change everything.
About it. Yeah. And that's like the worst, because you weren't clear about it,
Right.
or vice versa, where it's like, you're really clear. It needs to be done a peanut butter jelly sandwich needs to be done this way.
I feel like you're throwing me under the bus.
I kind of am. Yeah. But not having trust that they're going to do it. It's showing that you don't trust them at all. So they're going to be really scared to get any kind of out of the box, and they're not going to bring the best of who they are.
Ooh, that's good. Like they're gonna do it. They might perform to your expectations, but not have the freedom to actually bring who they are.
Yeah. So like if someday like Cohen's like, I want to make hot chocolate, you're like, okay, here's clarity. This is how you do it.
Yeah.
And I trust you.
Yeah.
Like he might be like, I'm gonna put some cayenne in it. Like you're gonna be like, oh, dude. That doesn't, but it, then you're experiencing like, oh, this actually does work.
Yeah, a little spicy chocolate.
Yeah, a little spicy chocolate.
You know what's interesting about that too? Is just like thinking about it in that context. We actually communicate with Tristan now with Cohen and starting with Aria too. But is that issue of developing trust and trust, like how to develop trust in relationships. Yeah. Like we have that concept in other things. So like that's really thinking about it in that way, the way you just described is really helpful for me. Like I'm just like, oh, this is good. Like it's really practical.
Yeah. And we don't do it enough, And you had a question.
Okay. Changing subjects. I feel like I have you trapped. Okay. So I'm going to ask you this.
Perfect.
All right.
You do have me trapped because I'm like at the bottom of my cup for coffee.
Dude.
Too.
We need like a coffee machine right here.
We can pause and come back. I'm just
okay.
I got problems.
All right. So here's the deal. I know I've told you this before.
Okay.
All right. I'm not telling you this because you're my friend. I'm telling you this because it's true. There are few people in this world that are as gifted with creative design as what I've seen you do.
Thanks.
I know.
Cool.
You're welcome. This is just, I'm buttering you up.
Yeah. Great.
Listen, I've got to know how you come up with some of your designs. And the reason why I say like I have you trapped is I've asked you this before, and you always just give me some what feels like dismissive response.
Yeah.
Because there's not time to talk about it.
Yeah.
Or you're in the middle of a project and you're like, I'm in process. Let me finish this. Like, let me finish this design or whatever. Yeah. And here's the reason why. I've sat at Photoshop, right? Like I got to design a graphic for youth, and now I kind of joke around it. Sure. On Wednesdays when I do a good job with like a graphic or whatever, I'll throw it up and be like, hey, look at my graphic. Everybody cheers. And they're like, yeah, good job, Dustin. I'm like, you're welcome. Yeah. In reality, it's all like because of stuff you've shown me and pointers you've given me, little like tidbits where I'll send you something, you'll give me feedback, and I kind of log it in like, oh yeah, I'd stay within this box. It's going to look really nice, you know?
Yeah.
But I can't venture out because it's like not something that I've really given myself to.
Right.
But here's the thing. Like you look at a blank screen and you've got a design for, maybe it's for a graphic, maybe it's for a sermon series, maybe it's just for a project
or just playing.
Even that concept is like, I understand with a sketchboard, like, hey, I'm going to just draw some sketches, but like to do that digitally, the way that you, and just as a shameless plug here, all right, I told you need to come up with that book. Like we have like this running joke of like,
Yes.
you have like designs where you even show me some and like how this one got shot down. It wasn't really, but it was like really cutting edge. Like it wasn't out there. And like 6 months later, there'll be like some main either church organization or sometimes it's like just in the artist community or media or whatever, where it's like, oh yeah, that was that design thing, concept that I had said we should use 6 months ago, whatever.
Sure.
It's hilarious. Like
it is funny.
But the thing is, because it's a mixture, it's not just always about being cutting edge, because you're also having to do something to capture the hearts of the people that you maybe are designing for, if it's like a freelance project or something, or maybe like, hey, can you design me a camp shirt? And you're like, dude, trust me, this is cutting edge. It's still my camp, and I have to like, I still have to like want to wear that shirt. I still am going to have to like enjoy that.
Right.
This is where I've learned to honor your preference, where I just say, okay, but it still is like, you kind of have to fight that battle, which is good. But how do you like just the process of like going from where do you even pull ideas from? How do you get stuff in? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So
because I've seen the consistency of your quality design and cutting edge, like staying on the cutting edge, not just regurgitating a style.
Right.
Does that make
and
sense?
it's funny because I'm always like, man, I'm just regurgitating. You know what I mean? Like, it's funny
because
I feel like
you
that.
do like a bunch of different styles. I haven't,
totally. So you're kind of asking two questions. You're asking how to when it comes to design, right?
A little bit,
just
for sure.
Where do I start? What's my process?
Yeah.
Then you're also talking about just like the overall, just like, okay, how do you give somebody what they want, but also further.
Totally. I think there's both of those. Yeah. So there's that, but even like, I think the one in between that would be how do you start? How do you do that? How do you stay cutting edge?
Right.
Like what the heck? Like, is it literally just God's freaking gift? Which that's all I can imagine it is, which I know it's mostly that. And there's probably other stuff in there. And then, third. Yeah. So maybe 3 questions.
Okay. So, well, I think, 1 and 2 to answer 1 and 2 is like, I try to, I use this technique of ABC, like always be collecting. So my it's very hard for me to watch a movie. It's hard for me to go to a store, a mall, be in the public and not be taking notes. And it's not just design stuff. Like so like say my wife and I are watching this movie or a YouTube thing, like for me, I'm collecting all these concepts, color concepts, shape concepts, layout concepts that are being presented. And sometimes I'll just log it in my mind, like, oh, that's cool. Like, putting this particular color against this color, or this sized font against this other sized font that's like, it's dramatic, or, and it conveys a certain thing. So I'll collect in that way, in my mind. Kind of hit save. I'm like, oh, I've seen that. Oh, I'm seeing that a couple of different places, Or I'll like, I actually use Evernote, plug, sponsorship,
please.
We are,
if somebody out there in the Greater Bay Area or wherever Evernote is done.
Yeah. And they also have a great podcast too, plug.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's called Taking Note. Really, really good.
That's awesome. I didn't know that.
It's way good. So like I have an Evernote that I use, a notebook called ABC. And that's something where I'm collecting like visuals. Like I'm actually like, I'll screenshot something, that I see, or just copy something over. And I'll be able to kind of draw on that stuff, like, and not in a way to like, copy it, but like I'll see 2 trends starting to take form, and I'm like, I know these are going to collide. Like at some point these are going to collide, and so I'm starting to kind of for me it's like it's all about hunches.
Totally.
Like I have a hunch that this is going to be a thing. Not that I want to be a part of the thing, but
keep going.
I'll keep talking to you like you're here. I'll keep. Good.
It is.
Great.
Yeah.
This is almost a part 2 anyways.
Dude, it doesn't have a battery icon on there for whatever reason in the video mode.
Yeah, I don't know.
But it's still counting. Yeah. So let's go.
This is kind of a part 2 anyway. So that's what I was saying. Like, coffee? No, it's good.
Paused.
So like I'll collect things like literally on, Evernote.
Right.
And it becomes like kind of a library of inspiration,
Totally.
And even physically, I'll collect things, I'll tear things out, or take a photo of something that's like speaking to me, and it won't ever like look exactly the same, but it kind of sets up my mind to think, okay, I could do something, a riff off this. And so, so ABC, man, like I'm always collecting. I do that as well with like, preaching even, or communication. Like I'll say, man, that like really speaks to me. Like, and so I'm kind of collecting a concept that might set up a scripture that will really preach it well or something.
So then you kind of have like this database, so to speak, of ideas, or just like
it's really an arsenal. Okay. And so like
this is really fascinating actually to hear this process.
Yeah.
Keep going. I'll say in why in a second, but keep going.
So really what's crazy, here's the thing is I realize like there's times where I'm a collector in that way.
Okay.
But it's very rare that I actually ever go back to like look over it. If I'm in a specific kind of like slump, I'll maybe go back and
like a little inspiration or something like that.
But what's funny is I'll actually rarely go back to look at it. There's something about like actually dropping it into Evernote that like saves it in my mind anyways.
Yeah. It's weird. Like even the concept of like writing notes when someone's preaching.
Right.
Like I if I'm taking notes, I mean, rarely.
You're not going to go back and like study back.
Sometimes I do, like if I need something, but it's like the act of writing it puts it on my brain more.
And so basically what's happening is I'm becoming more and more familiar with these concepts, whether again, like a color concept, a size concept, a particular fonts, or, style guide, like, and so that will all be kind of like stored in the space of my mind. Yeah. And so in a way, I'm not starting from scratch. Okay. So like Dustin and I will talk about this all the time where like, he's like, dude, just do a graphic for me. It's, it'll take you 2 minutes what I could do in like 2 hours. And it's kind of true because it's not taking me 2 minutes. It's taking me 8 years.
Dude.
You know what I mean? Like, and so I'm not just coming up with from nothing. I have all this stuff in the,
dude, what you just said right there is the plight of almost every creative job.
Everything. Yeah.
Where like, even like a musician, like a studio musician or something, it's like, hey, I need you to just to come and record a quick lick. Like it's 30 minutes and you're done. And a professional musician could come in and do that.
Yeah.
But what you're paying for is the 20 plus years of history and practice and all the tools that they've gathered just to come up with one cool lick that takes 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Same thing. Like I'm asking for a graphic and I'm like, this is no big deal for you, but it's really, I'm actually asking for,
You're pulling on that
8 years of history.
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
Yeah. And so, and it's funny because I even see it too, because I haven't been preaching for very long or communicating for very long. And so for me, it takes forever to to do something like that too.
Totally.
Somebody's like, oh, just do a quick little something, 10 minutes something.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God.
Speak in chapel for 10 minutes, 15 minutes.
I'm prepping forever.
Yeah.
Where someone like our lead pastor here, Pastor Caleb, he could go in and just drop, and
why are you stressing about this? Like, just pull out your favorite verse and
he can just unpack and it's way good, Yeah. You could, in a way, it's like sharing from your heart kind of thing. And for me, like you're like, just do a graphic. I'm sharing from my heart. I'm sharing from what's been collected, and so
kind of drawing from these deep wells,
right
there. Yeah, that makes
sense. So
that's
for me. That's kind of like what's really happening. So again, I'm always collecting.
Okay,
I'm like literally. It's hard for me not to.
Yeah.
And now, speaking of my wife, right? Like now I've gotten into a point where I'm not going to talk about it.
Yeah.
I'm just collecting, because there's been a handful of times where we'll be like, I don't know, at the Ferry Building in San Francisco, like, and I'm just like, oh my God, look at this. Oh my God, look at this packaging. My mind is blown. Like, look at this pamphlet, like, can you look at
like after a little bit, I think that would be just, it's just obnoxious.
And like, I'm like, oh my God, look at the these color combinations. Look at the tracking on this, like all this stuff. And And for a while, it was getting overwhelming for her because she wants, again, the connection.
Totally.
You know what
So
I mean?
I'm going to look at this thing and we're going to connect over this packaging.
And I love getting out to collect because I'm always collecting.
That's crazy.
And so like for me, it's like always, even going to Target, you know what I mean? Like, and so I'm always collecting. And so like I would bring it up and she'd be like, yeah, you're right. Like that is cool. Or like, but I'm missing that. I'm again, bringing myself, I'm elevating myself, my own experience over the point why we're at the Ferry Building is to connect, you know?
Yeah.
And so, so now I got it down to where I'm just like, wow, like it's just in the back of my mind and I'm logging it, or I'll just shoot a quick picture. We won't even talk about it. You know?
Sometimes it's funny because you'll send me pics like that every once in a while where I can tell like this must have really inspired you because you're like, dude, check this out.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like,
for sure.
For you to send that to me, I know it's like, this really inspired you.
For sure.
You know, so
and
I
I'm
see
also
it
kind of doing that
differently,
thing too, where I'm trying to inspire you as a designer.
Yeah.
And so I'll put it like this, in the creating, I've been using this, a lot in conversation because I'm realizing how meaningful it is to me. Like lately I took my electric guitar home and, I'm not a solo guy. Like I can't really, I can like really vamp and like do some really cool guitar licks. Like I have a great time, like always have, you know? And it's going to be beautiful, but I can't like John Mayer solo.
Yeah.
I can't BB King solo. I can't Stevie Ray Vaughan, you know, like I can't do that type of stuff. Like
totally.
And so I'm like, man, I really want to push myself as an artist, as a creative to be able to. Not like I would ever use it. Yeah. But maybe I would, you know.
Yeah. It's like an extra tool.
It's a tool, fun. But it's also like pushing myself, you know, like and I just was like, man, I don't want to be stagnant in just being good enough. Like I want to be good. Like I want to actually and so I took my guitar home and I'm like I was telling Amy like I actually feel embarrassed like trying to learn this guitar lick.
That's awesome.
Who did you think I was with John Mayer?
Yeah.
And like I was like I actually feel embarrassed. Yeah. Because like I sound like a beginner guitarist, but I'm like, but I kind of like it. Like, you know, it feels new again. And so I'm slowly but surely getting that thing down. And so it's only been 2 days of trying it, but so for me, why I'm bringing that in is because like where you are is you're learning the scales of graphic design. Okay. You know, you know, for non-musicians, like, you know, this is what music is made up of, is these scales, you know, and learning just going through the task of like, okay, I got it down, you know. Totally. Now you can't, it's hard to be creative with just doing, you know, most songs aren't just that, you know, most creative songs are built of, you know, kind of moving those pieces around and making it interesting. Same is true with graphic design. Like, in a way, you have to start by just copying a Pepsi logo in Illustrator. Yeah. You know what I mean? And once you can, because then you're actually learning the tools of, right. You know, you're starting to figure that out. Yeah. Then the more you get comfortable with that, then you're able to go outside of the box and start to do a kind of riff a little bit, add some attitude and some bending of the strings. Now I'm kind of meshing two concepts, but does that make sense?
No, like, totally. It's interesting. Okay, so the last graphic I did was this series that we're in called Welcome Home, and I sent you like 3 different versions, and you're like, "Hey, this one works better," you know, little quick feedback, you know. Right. But it's interesting. There was a tool I used to like create like a little box and shape and whatever. One of the versions didn't work, but the fact that there was like several months ago, I had asked you how to do something. You kind of showed me step by step, like really painstakingly slow. Like for me, it was hard for me to, you know, and you're so quick, just knowing all the quick commands and stuff, you know, but I was able to do it. I was sitting working on the graphic and it's like exactly what you're describing. All of a sudden I had a tool to pull from and I didn't just copy what we did before, but I used the same process, so to speak. Yeah. And you know, that makes sense. Yeah.
And so it's just, you know, you're just building on the blocks, you know, like, and so, for me, you know, I can't really remember how many years I've been doing design. but a good long time. Got started in youth group, you know what I mean? Like,
Awesome.
and so making these stupid graphics that were awesome and hilarious, you know,
Yes.
and but the why I said play is that was like that's what got me hooked, was just playing around.
Yeah.
And now I'm realizing, like, actually going back to those roots of just like, I need to get back to playing. Like, okay, I gotta get work done. I gotta get things out.
Yeah.
In a deadline, you know.
Yeah.
But I need to figure out again how to just play around. And what I'm realizing is that, like, those type of things, actually, that sense of, like, I'm my best when I'm at rest.
Yeah.
That's like a big thing for me, is like, when I'm at rest and just playing, like, you know, trying something fun and funky out, kind of breaking some rules, bending the notes a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm finding, like, wow, there's some real life to this. Like, it's adding to me. And then the outcome's like, wow, this actually turned out way cooler. And I'm going to go with this. Like, I'm going to, you know, it's happened in staff this week, you know.
I totally threw you under the bus, man. I'm sorry.
That's good.
I'm not sorry, because it was gold. You had gold on that screen of yours.
To give you guys a quick just a quick side note, I was trying this new concept out that I've never really done before, and Dustin happened to see it. And that same day I was planning on pitching this other graphic concept for a sermon series that we're doing really soon. And it was already done. I had something in the hopper for it. So I'd be done with the project, you know, and everyone, you know, it's a great graphic. We would have gone with it, unless, you know, but Dustin sees this new concept I'm working on, throws me under the bus. He says, "This one looks really cool though too." And so everyone really wanted to see that. They liked it better.
Yeah.
And so we ended up going with it. But, you know, in my mind, I was like, you know, I'm gonna save this as a back pocket idea, you know, because I like to have concepts in line, you know,
because the concept is there, and you're kind of, you know, like, when you say back pocket, it's like the concept is there. You're going to change maybe the heading of the words, the text part of it, that you know, a couple color shifts, whatever. But you have it as a concept. You have it as like pieces in there.
Yeah, and so and what's funny is, like, I'm actually glad it worked out the way it did. Yeah, by you throwing me under the bus, because I've been really trying to live by this concept of like not withholding stuff, and so like if because I was playing with that concept, if I would have just held on to it, I would, how do I say, our future selves would miss out on what I'd be working right then in that moment playing. Yeah. And so, like,
you know, it's interesting though. Yeah. Really, it comes back to what we just talked about being known.
Yeah. Being known.
About if you're afraid.
This is where I am right now.
Yes. And being afraid of that, you're actually withholding the gift that God has intended for you to bring to the team.
Right. Yeah, totally. It's also, what I realized is that it's actually, that was me operating out of lack. Yeah. Because I imagine, like, this is a good idea right now. I'm going to hold on to it because I know in the future I'm going to need another. I'm going to be in a drought at some point, and this I'm going to need to call on. And that's not usually how it is in God's kingdom, you know. And and so that's something I'm, you know, learning the lesson of. I'm going to school on that because He's the God of more than enough, and so like. In a way, I need to just live life with an open hand, where it's like, okay, God drop this idea, this concept in my mind and my heart, my hand. I need to work on it and get it out, you know, rather than like trying to doomsday prep, you know, kind of thing, you know, and so best at rest. Yeah.
Okay. So question 1 and 2. Yeah. How do you start? We got that. We got the ABC, always be collecting. And then that goes into the concept of, like, as you're collecting, you're playing, you're developing tools, you're kind of practicing, so to speak, like different concepts. And so then that improves your execution of some of those ideas. And that enables you to take ideas that you're having floating around in your head out on paper. Here's the thing where most people, I think, and this is what I have to recognize, where I think the gift mix plays in, where just the creative juices to like come up with ideas, we think about it in the context of I don't have that gift and you have that gift. And where that's true to most of the degree, like I think that is overriding this entire conversation. Okay. What is a profound difference is your love and passion for design means that you're continually seeing things through a lens that is inspiring you, that is giving you concepts, giving you ideas, and then through that collecting thing, you're not actually starting with a blank canvas, like you said. You actually have this plethora of different creative ideas because of your value and your love for it, where I would just say, oh, it's just because you're gifted. When really, that's true. It doesn't negate the gift that you carry, but because of the gift you carry and the value that brings, you're also always collecting. So you have like this bin of just inspiration, so to speak. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Because it's interesting when I think about it in the context of other things that aren't like graphic design or painting or that concept is actually what I would probably say makes most great people great at what they're doing. Like when I think about it in the context of jiu-jitsu stuff for myself, I'm actually doing that. On my Instagram account, I actually have techniques that I'll see people do and I'll favorite it.
Right. What's your Instagram, by the way?
Dustinbox_BJJ.
Oh, okay.
That's mostly Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu stuff. But
Great.
So, but what I do is as I'm scrolling, I'll see people that I really respect, Mendez brothers, Ribeiro, whatever, Shanji and Saulo Ribeiro, just different people, Eduardo Rocha, like different people that I'm like, oh dude, I love their style, Hodger
and you see
Gracie,
their technique and they'll
post like little tutorials. Keenan Cornelius, a guy down in Santa Cruz, super awesome guy. He's a younger guy. Oh my gosh. Total just brain fart.
It's all good. You can just like edit in.
Shoot, that's so embarrassing because he's so good. He's so cool too. He fights under Claudio Franca. Oh my gosh.
You'll think of it.
Dude, that's embarrassing.
And then you can just edit it in. I love in podcasts and videos they're like, we're going to edit that out. And they never do.
No,
like,
of course they're not. I'm not going to edit this in.
I'm not going to. Of course.
Oh my gosh. Anyways, but like stuff like him, right? Yeah. So I'll see them do a technique or something. I just favorite it.
Right.
And so then when I'm like have a minute, I'll just kind of go through and just scroll through like, oh yeah, that's a really cool. You can go from this position to this position by just backstepping and circling around here. Yeah. And you keep this grip and it sets up the next move.
Right.
Like,
so
the concept, it totally makes sense.
Yeah.
It makes sense
like
what
collecting,
you're describing. Yes. Yeah. Even in the sense of like guitar licks or like playing guitar. Same. Like when I'm learning, like you're like, hey, we got a new song and I have to go and actually learn a specific guitar part for a song. Yeah. I'm actually, what I'm realizing the difference between the way I play and other people sometimes, I would say not everybody, but for some people, the difference is I'm not learning a guitar part for that song. I'm learning the concept of that guitar part. And I actually collect it.
Yeah.
Because then I can take that concept, we're vamping on something or playing a song I don't really know or a song we've played a million times and I can come up with a new guitar part, a fresh idea for something because I have all these other kind of concepts that I've collected versus thinking about it like, oh no, this is that one lick for forever or for this one song. Yeah. And then
it almost seems like off limits.
Exactly.
That way, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Versus seeing it the way that, oh no, this note relates to this note and this note in this way.
Right.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Okay. So now the scary one.
Okay.
How do you bridge the gap between out of the box creativity, pushing the kind of not pushing the boundaries, but like really being cutting edge. That was the word I'm looking for. Being cutting edge in your design, concepts, whatever it happens to be, and then actually getting, a graphic or sometimes it's not a graphic. Sometimes it's like a logo or design concept or a design feel, aesthetic, whatever it happens to be for maybe a client, boss, me, whoever. You know what I'm saying? Like whatever happens to be.
Yeah.
Like
how do you bridge the gap?
Yes. With a way where you're not just jumping through hoops or coloring by numbers, but you're actually helping them kind of expand their thing. Because okay, here's the deal. Is if I hire you or like I'm a you're a freelancer and I'm like, hey buddy, I need you to do this concept. I'm I mean, the right way to do it is I'm calling on you for your excellence and expertise. I'm not calling on you to do what I'm asking you to do. But a lot of people don't understand the difference between the two.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So
kind of
in a rough spot, I think.
Yeah, it is tough. There's a handful of things at play. There is. So, one, I don't feel like I'm cutting edge enough.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But like, but I'm always pushing, right?
Yeah.
But with me, because I'm always collecting. Yeah. There's a sense of feeling like you're a connoisseur of design.
This is the general direction stuff is heading.
Yeah, and this is the grass is greener on the other side kind of thing, you know. So it's very easy for creatives, and I say creatives. I believe everyone's creative, you know what I mean. But like, so take it out as
but the concept of people that are like maybe like their life is functioned in a creative expression, artistic expressive sort of means. So like
you're there every day,
whether it's art, whether it's like design work of some sort, maybe designing homes or blueprints or designing graphics, things like that, media, so music, whatever.
They can easily fall into this pride thing, and it's something like it is an actual struggle because you actually make it more about yourself. Even, you know, what I'm realizing for myself is like, you know, because I work at a church, it's very easy for me to get in a place where I'm like, because I care so much about the church, capital C church, and our church, like I so badly want to, and because I'm a connoisseur, I'm constantly feeding myself on the palette of, something that like Kanye's putting out, or you know these other amazing you know, like I'm seeing the grass on the other side, and a lot of times I'm trying to bring that into that expression or that level of creativity and excellence into our church or a graphic or something. What could easily happen and what happens often, and something I have to fight constantly, is a sense of pride that could easily settle in. And
what's the pride? What's the pride?
Well, the pride is because it's something that I'm a part of, and it's something that I'm running. So the creative director here, like it could easily become about me. It could easily become something that I touched is at this level, you know, like we're competing, you know, in a way competing with, you know,
I'm not going to like, this is like in my department, I'm not going to put out something that looks like that low level of creativity or something like that.
Right. Exactly. And the truth is we could actually put stuff out that is at Nike level or something like that, you know, that design level and excellence and quality. But when you bring in budget, you bring in preference of team, you bring in vision, demographic, you know, it starts to get it puts pressure on the thing that you've given yourself to, the opinion and the wisdom that you have, you know. And so like in a way it becomes this thing where like it feels like a lot of times like it's you against me. So like if I bring a concept to you that's like it's a little out there, but it's like this is what's really hot right now, like or this is gonna be hot in 6 months, you know what I mean, like and you're like I've never seen this, like why do that, you know? And I'm telling you, like, no, this is hot. This is going to be good. It's going to be, you know, trust me on this, you know? If you push back and you're like, I just can't read it though. Like, you know, because the point of a graphic is to communicate, is communication. Totally. And so like there's something that has to happen in me is I need to figure out, okay, like, I need to figure out how to serve what you hope for as well as bring the best that I can. And so what it's easy for me to hear, buddy, your opinion is not good. You know, you know what I mean? And that's like putting it very, very softly, you know.
Yeah,
like,
but
because graphic designers or I guess creatives can hear it in a really harsh way. You know?
It's identity. It is not
yeah,
identity, but
it is identity because
you attach yourself to this
because
thing.
you put yourself into your work.
Yeah, so it's like you suck.
Again,
you're not creative. You
again,
have bad ideas. Like that's what it feels.
Again,
like.
it's weird because at the heart, what got me into this business is serving.
Yeah,
is this desire to really, give God glory, like through creative expression. But it's like so marbled in a way, for me at least. It's a daily decision to not let pride really settle in. Where because I'm putting myself into it, it's about me.
Yeah.
And so,
and I could see how
it's tough.
Yes, crazy tough. But I could see how that thinking, like the negative side, turns into like an offense.
Yeah, big time.
It would be like an offense that you could carry towards like leaders, or because I've known like graphic designers and really creative people that have actually like they went through a really hard time of this where basically they just always had a grudge against leaders. Like you just want us to suck. You just want this to sound bad. Or you just want this to look bad. Or you just want to get stuck in this old way. Like, and I mean, this is years ago. This was people that in environments where if I were to name names, you would think, my gosh, that's the complete opposite of that.
Right.
Their value at that place, you know, but like that was some of the people's ideas because of what you're describing, not checking that pride sort of piece. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
it's weird because you wouldn't think it's pride because your desire is to bring those things
comes
in.
from like a really good place.
Yeah. And so it's weird. It's such a interesting balancing act, you know, but you know, so gracious, you know, it's amazing to work with gracious people like Pastor Caleb because he does give that latitude of like creative stuff. And like I talk about this a lot with my wife, like Amy, like she's like, dude, he's like letting you in on like the flow and the direction of our church. Like by like, you know, he'll ask me, Pastor Caleb will ask me, like, hey, like we need this thing done. Here's an idea, the overall concept. And I'll come with a title or a subtitle or something like that. And that's what we'll go with. And that's a lot of like, creative latitude as well as pressure, you know, and freedom. And so like, but then there's other times where like I'll say something and I'm like, dude, this is going to be so awesome. And it's like, no, like let's not do that, you know?
Yeah.
And I've, you know, fallen into a ton of times where I'm just like, man, like nobody understands like how much better this could be.
Totally.
And he and I dialogue about this a lot because I'm dealing with it. You know, it's like, it's a thing that's,
sounds like a kind of a constant.
It really is.
You have to catch yourself,
it really is. And I wasn't until recently that I really realized like, oh, like I'm the biggest player in my head right now. Like I this is actually more about me than it is, you know, this has become more about me. And so, I forgot where I was going with that, but like, he helped me see like, there's a quote by, Bill Johnson. I'll probably mess it up, but like he said something like Bill Johnson said, until I know how much you care about like my vision, the vision for our church, like I don't care about your vision. Yeah. You know,
sounds kind of cocky when you kind of just throw that out
period
there.
Right there.
Yeah.
But like the second part of it is like, but when I know that you care about my vision, I want to do everything I can to empower you. Yeah. So it's like, there's this weird, like, again, dying to yourself. Like it's serving, the one who God's put in leadership. And I think that, you know, we get way more blessed when we come under that rather than if we did a Nike level thing. Totally. You know,
I mean, you know, people talk about this all the time, but division is just two visions. Right. It actually has nothing, it says nothing about one being better than the other. It's just the fact that there's two visions. Right. And the fact that actually does create separation and contention where really in that quote, what's being asked for is like, I need to know that that we have the same heart. Right. That our vision is in alignment and that I can trust that you're not going to try to take us
Yeah.
off course,
Right.
just for a concept.
Yeah.
Or just, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And it's like, oh no, once we're
Or
there,
just to be cool or cute. Yeah.
totally,
Yeah.
exactly, like that.
And it's funny because,
It's
so
really a value driven thing.
it really
you
is.
know?
It has to be. And that's something a designer has to be able to buy into.
Yeah.
So like the thing we joke about all the time is like, graphic designers will make something that's beautiful.
Yeah.
But then everybody wants the text bigger.
Yeah. Yes. Oh man, we've done this before. Or you'll send me something. I'm like, oh, I actually need you to add this piece of information. Like it needs to say
we need
this.
this logo bigger, and we need this date larger.
Yeah.
And that just doesn't work.
Yeah.
In a design way. The saying is like, if everything is bold, then nothing is. You know, like
exactly. Yeah.
and so kind of learning how to serve the vision of, hey, we really need this event to be communicated, or this product communicated, as well as doing it in a way that's excellent, is the tightrope that we kind of walk. And so like a great example is like an Easter banner that's printed, and it's huge. It's like, and it's going to be seen on the street. So it needs to be read really quickly.
Yeah.
And so we could easily make everything huge.
Totally.
You know what I mean? But then there's no graphical flow, like it's just really hard to do that and make it look good. And so like,
which is why you see, I feel like it's mostly in churches, but it's would also be consistent in probably businesses that don't have a budget for creative design.
Right.
You'll see banners, white, big red text,
right.
And then just information.
Right.
Because they don't know how to solve the problem that you're talking about,
Right.
Yeah.
Or like a really big white banner, red text, but there's like a ton of information.
Yeah, exactly.
And so that's so it really comes down to like, okay, what's most important?
Yeah.
And then kind of doing it that way. And,
yeah.
I don't know, just, it's something to be committed to, like how do I serve what's most important on your heart, like to communicate in these things. And it, like, again, it does something to the designer's heart. For me, like it's what it's become for me is like, it's way more about the lesson I'm learning in my heart rather than like just getting something cool done, because like, again, like I'm gonna stand before the Lord and, he's not going to say like, did you do something so cool and like
totally.
Nike level or whatever, he's going to ask like, did you learn how to lay yourself down and like serve well and where I gave you opportunity, like that's what's really going to matter the most, and so
so then follow-up question from that context, okay, the value of we're being value driven. We are learning to serve. We're making sure that our own arrogance or ego, you could describe it as ego, pride, is getting in the way of working together and actually serving a vision. How then do we bring people out of their comfort zones into kind of the next creative place?
Sure.
Because this isn't just this is like, obviously you're the creative director here. I think about it in terms of the stuff that I'm involved in. I think about it in terms of when I'm invited to speak somewhere or lead worship somewhere or working on a project or something. And there does seem to be kind of this constant like struggle between staying in your comfort zone, staying within an area of, maybe as a church or as a people or as a person, you had breakthrough in this area. And so you're like, dude, this is amazing. And then you stay there. You don't know how to get to the next place. And so when you're in a conversation, if we were to boil this down into really a simple concept, because really this concept goes in a lot of different places, but if we boiled it down to like a simple thing, like, hey, I need a graphic, and you give me a graphic and I'm like, oh, like that's like, I need it to look like this. And you're like, dude, that was what was popular 4 years ago.
Right.
That battle between bringing someone into a new creative place versus just letting them stay in their comfort zone. How do we do that? Because that's like, if you look at like even church history and revival, you'll see like God pours out, revival, creative expression gets released. And then the church is really guilty of this. I think a lot of people are, but it's easy to point the finger at the church because that's the world I live in. But you actually see it in a lot of other areas too, where what happens, you have a big breakthrough, something gets released, something new happens, and then you associate the breakthrough you had with God with a specific style of music, a specific expression, a specific style of architecture, maybe a specific way that things looked. And so then as you move on, you like the way that you have this encounter with God is you have this style of music or this type of song or this type of architecture or this type of colors in your church or, in the business realm, you see the same thing. Basically business models get attached to a certain breakthrough or certain success versus being able to change that business model as society changes, as people grow, as new creative ideas get in the mix. God is a creative God. You look through the Old Testament, and when he delivered the children of Israel, never repeated himself.
Yeah.
Every story is different.
So good.
Like every time, a different way. We serve that God. We serve the most creative being. The first words in the beginning, God created. He's the most creative, and yet somehow we think God only has one style of music that's the most holy or one architecture that's...
Totally.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Sort of? Yeah. So the question then... How do we help bring people along? How do we ourselves move past those comfort zones? I don't know. You may not have an answer. I just like, because that conversation has to be had out of a place of value. Has to be had out of a place of serving each other, vision, like all that stuff. It can't be a, you suck, you're bad, you need to grow, get out of your comfort zones. Does that make sense? Like, I don't know.
I'd love to, I don't know. I don't know. Period. Wouldn't it be funny if the podcast just ended right there?
Just click.
No, I don't.
Because I don't know. I mean, I've had small levels of breakthrough. I think we just need to talk about it. Like, people need to talk about this and recognize that, I'm sorry, like, you're in a comfort zone. God isn't the God of comfort zones.
Right. He's always pulling us. Yeah. And like, I've always had this, like, this saying in my head since I was a kid, right? Like God is the creator of creativity.
Totally.
And he's created us to be creative. And us doing anything less than creative or like, moving in and not saying stagnant, is like less than who, we've been created to be, Which is why you can say everyone is creative. Yeah. And they really are. It's really DNA, man. Yeah. Like, you can be creative as a stay-at-home mom, like creative parenting and all that stuff. But I don't know, like for me, helping people mind the gap is tough. It is, again, like going back to the quote, like once, your boss, the people you're creating for, understand that your desire is to, serve their vision well, like it gives you, freedom, and, gives you, some space to kind of push a little bit. Yeah. And I think, having a legacy of being able to have the conversation, like in a good way, where it's like, how do I say, if there is pushback, being able to have the conversation and be like, one, either stand by it in a way where it's like, hey, like, no, like, this is something that's like Pink is really actually in, like Coral is, you're going to see it in Target now, it's there now, but, and so like Jewel Tones, those type of things, totally, like kind of standing by that. And I've really learned now, like, okay, how do I bring people along the process? Yeah. And that's something Pastor Caleb's, I even asked, like, hey, like, take us in the process, like help us, because we're not in that world all the time like you are, like, so like instead of it being cold water on the face, like, like figure out a way to take us along the ride, with you. So like now I'll kind of just like shoot a screenshot of like, hey, this is kind of where this is kind of shaping up. Yeah. based on, this thing, maybe this trend or something like that. Like, or here's what I'm shooting for. Here's what I'm trying to communicate with these textures or these colors,
Yeah.
And that kind of helps, I think, put peace into people's hearts. Like, okay, like there's thought going into this. It's not just like crazy and wild or, so I don't know. I don't know if that's one piece of it. I feel like.
Okay. So if we take that idea, right, of serving somebody's vision or, knowing that you have the vision at heart. So like maybe you're doing freelance work or something, and you're like, no, I have your vision. Yeah. My goal is to serve this vision. If we take that concept to like a broader area, okay, so you're leading worship somewhere, or you get invited somewhere, or maybe you're like a new worship pastor somewhere, or something like that, and you come and you're like, dude, we're gonna do this new style, and it's gonna be awesome. I've done this, by the way. Yeah. Mistakes. Okay.
Taking notes.
Your heart and my heart at the time was so driven out of a value of I want people to experience the creative God.
Right.
I want people to get out of their comfort zones and go into the next place that we're supposed to be in. We don't want to just be camped in this one area. It was totally in the right place.
Right.
But what ends up getting communicated is people are like, you don't care about us. It's just a show about you. Yeah, you left us in the dust. And then it turns into like this assumption which I opened myself up to this, but it's the judgment of, you just think it's all about you. You just think it's all about your show or your songs or your style or whatever it happens to be, when really it's not at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's because I poorly communicated my value for who they were, what they care about, and didn't actually bring them. And Caleb's amazing. So I've had actually conversations with him about, like, he's actually speaking in the school of ministry right now. Not while this is going on, but we're in a segment about leadership, and he's been breaking down this concept of leading through change, like leading people through change. Right. Dude, it's incredible. Yeah. I mean, it's really, really like to be able to do that, but it's interesting thinking about it from kind of a reverse process where you're not the one in charge, but you have a critical role in kind of bringing people through getting out of their comfort zones. I think artistic expression or color palettes, style is...
Well, it's like it's
really individual,
it's what we call like servant leadership.
Yeah.
So you're like, the whole point is to serve.
Yeah.
But in a way you're also leading too.
Yeah.
And so like, I don't know, like it's something I don't take lightly, you know what I mean?
Totally.
Like, because our church, our organization has a graphical look. Yeah. That has movement and momentum and is changing. Hopefully, you know what I mean? Like growing and everything like that. But it really comes down to gracious leaders, you know, and then working with those people. And the more I like learn to serve that well with a good heart, again, like doing the hard work. Yeah. The hard work. Yeah. It gives, it puts like my boss at ease, where it's like, hey, I'm going to trust you on this. Totally. And then I'll find, there's other places where I could try something wild and different. Yeah. Where it's like, it's not as critical to the overall organization or church, Yeah. Where, it's like a doorway into, this is a type of design that's like, in right now, or is Buddy's style right now, or, something like that.
We've done some stuff like that too, where it was like, hey, can you give me something? And you're like, hey, I want to try something crazy.
Yeah. I'm going to do something different. Yeah.
Like, I'm okay with that. Like, this is this is okay. Like, this is just a side thing, or whatever. It's interesting about that
playing
too.
Again. Yeah. It's playing.
Yeah, totally. I was just thinking about, we just did this Hope is Alive series, right? And those videos that Emily's husband. Sam. Dang it. Oh, dude. If you're listening, Sam, I love you. You're a freaking genius. Let's just say that.
Killer. Yeah.
Dude, I feel like that's like an example of like what you described, where it's like you've taken time to like build trust, steward that relationship. Right. We're in a meeting. This was obviously months and months ago. We're in a meeting. Hey, we have this idea. And the response is like, yes. And then because you have team, you're working with a team, there's this guy that's like crazy gifted in this realm. Like, it's like, yeah, I want to help out, and it's like, awesome.
Yeah.
But because of the process and the history and like what you've stewarded, both directions,
Yeah.
it actually brings the gifts that are actually in the body and gives space for them. I don't know. Like I just see it like as this concept of like when we do our job well in these ways, it actually
opens up platform and
exactly
space.
for this other person then to like, obviously he wasn't the only one involved, but had a primary like function, you know what I mean? Like primary role in this stuff. Like, and then you just see this incredible gift where you're like, oh my gosh, like this is
and when
powerful.
we do it well,
I mean,
it actually is a big blessing to the community,
Yes, and it's not just to like, it's not just for the sake of like, oh, we have a cool video.
Right.
Dude, I got rocked, man. Like the first one we showed in staff, and this is not an exaggeration, I was fighting back tears. And then we're like, hey, let's talk about like, does this flow? And I'm like, how can we even talk about like flow? And like, I'm just jacked by this testimony and like the way it's presented, it just enabled me to connect so well with like the story and like, I don't know. Does that make sense? It's just like that, like that to me is the goal.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like that. It, like when you do the homework, or you see me do the other stuff well, it actually not only empowers the creative to do what it's meant to do, it gives it a platform, but it also enables the body and the rest of the people, like not people lower. I'm struggling with the right word, but like people that are in the congregation or people that you're connected with in an organization, if it's in a job, it actually creates space and room for those gifts to bless the organization or bless the body in that context.
Totally.
It's just like, dude.
Yeah. And so it really is this idea of like people being under authority, right? Like so like, and so for me, like I'm like, okay, I realize Pastor Caleb is been put in authority, for this church and for this region even, by God, And so if I trust God's opinion about him, I need to trust him, and I need to serve that well. And Pastor Caleb has brought me in. He's hired me because he believes in what's on my life, right? And so like there's a trust there. I need to trust, so there's trust all the way through. And then so Pastor Caleb might not know Sam very well, but I know him well. You know what I mean? And so I know what he's capable of. And so there's that trust is flowing, And so I forget who said it, but like organizations run at the speed of trust.
That's really good.
Isn't that crazy?
Dang. Somebody Google that.
I forget. But
dude.
Yeah. So like that really makes sense, And so like when Pastor Caleb trusts me, and I have extended trust to someone like Sam, like there's we get a lot done. We can get a lot done,
dude. Okay, so it's crazy. So you're describing it that way. When I think about it, like in a smaller realm, with my youth team, right? Kyle for a while, like takes care of game stuff, like. It's, and the cool thing is I'll forget to text him and I'll text him like, hey, do you have something? He's like, yeah, I already done. Already have somebody else doing it. Well, a while ago when I was like first kind of like, hey, can you take care of this? Like, I know you're good at it. And I know like you have experience like at camps doing this stuff, it was like, just check in with me. Let me know what's going on first. And like very quickly, it didn't take long, but it's like right away. It's like, dude, you still have the goal of this time and the constraints that we have to work within, I don't even ask what the game is anymore. Like there's just no, like I have total trust in him. It's crazy is as soon as that trust was built, he was like, hey, I want to bring in some student leaders to do something and have them plan a game. It's like, not even a question. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, and what then ends up happening is you have all these other people then that start stepping into that because of that trust bridge.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I wasn't involved in that high school or helping with that game or coming up with that idea.
Right.
Kyle was though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And all of a sudden now this person is like empowered to do something and contribute, be a part, and actually it's like you said, all of a sudden it like starts extending really fast.
Right, it's true and deep. And I think the thing kind of at work too is like how do I want to say it? Relationship got me on board with Pastor Caleb, right?
Yeah,
and relationship got Sam on board. And so. And then so now trust is flowing, and so in a way, again, I think it's Craig Rochelle, but he was saying something like, we're not gonna bring people on and have them earn our trust. Like we're gonna bring people on because we trust them and they're trustworthy.
Yeah.
And so then you're starting way further in advance, or further than if you were to be like, okay, like I'm gonna have you earn my trust. You know what I mean? Like, no, we're bringing them on because they're trustworthy, and like time will show, right? But like,
you gotta steward trust.
Yeah, you steward trust and everything like that, and trust can be broken and everything. But like, you're just starting in a way better place because of relationship. Yeah, and then you have the relationship, the equity enough to be able to say, hey, like, again, clarity and trust. This was really good. We could probably work on this piece, and have those conversations all the time with Pastor Caleb, and then have the conversations all the time with Sam, and all over. And so,
dude, that's awesome.
Fun.
We got to be done.
Amen.
Holy smokes.
I'm telling you,
we just hit a record. 2 hours, 22 minutes.
You're welcome, folks.
Yes.
We can probably talk all day, but
for sure.
This is basically what happens in my office. Literally, I'm trying to get stuff done, and I have like
I'm so bad. I'm so
bad
at this.
I have a timer on my phone. I have 7 minutes and 24 seconds to finish this thing before I have to get out the door. Dustin will come in, and we'll have one of these type of conversations.
Yeah, dude.
But it's golden.
That's why I was like, we've done it a couple times where I'm like, or you've even said it like that was podcast.
Yeah, podcast.
Like, we got to talk about this. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Enjoy.
Where are you at? If somebody listened to any of this pregnancy stuff, dude, like journey, they want to reach out to you.
Yeah.
Maybe they just need some empathy, just some like support in their process, or creative design work.
Sure.
Want to get some freelance extra gigs in there?
I'm not doing any freelance. You can't afford me right now.
Okay, good.
You can't afford me right now.
You have a new baby. Busy
I'm like
life,
trying to weigh that out. I'm like,
no.
I don't know.
But just want to get a hold of you. Where you at? Where you at?
So Insta spam for sure.
Perfect.
_ Buddy James _
Nice.
There's another Buddy James. And,
nice. That's perfect.
Yeah.
_ Buddy James _
Yeah.
That's it?
Yep. That's it.
Cool. Facebook?
Nope. Don't hit me up on Facebook.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Awesome. All right. I love you, man. Thank you so much.
Good times.
All right. Well, there you have it, folks. That was a doozy. 2.5 hours. I doubt you listened to this straight through. But if you did, oh my gosh. Tweet me, do something, let me know. That was amazing. I really had such an incredible time hanging out with my friend Buddy. So thank you, Buddy James. You're amazing. Baby Aurora and his wife Amy, just an incredible family. We love you guys so much. Listen, if you enjoy this podcast, please hit 5 stars on iTunes. Write a little review. Say like, hey, we love this podcast. Whatever. Use your own words, but spread the love. Share it around. Like it. Go to Instagram, Dustin Savannah on our Instagram. On YouTube, Dustin Savannah as well. Our website, DustinandSavannah.com. Super easy. That is me and my wife's website. It's where her blog is at. It's where my podcast is at. That's it. There you have it. You guys have an incredible day. We will catch you next week. Same time, same place. Peace.